prefer it when women lie to me. That's where the no homo comes from.
Grab the phone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the remedy. It was a hell of a run.
Go long with it.
Eagles let go of space. We start to wind things down here at the Florida Championship. Remember, we got the monster truck to finish out the night here.
before using Jobber, we were grossing about $500,000 a year, and now we're grossing nearly $3 million a year.
Hello, everybody. Let's Grow Polling every Monday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Larry Richwine time. Jason Schultz, Kenzie Theding, in the podcast studio. Mike Eitel from the great state of Missouri, our substitute teacher for the summer, and the Larry Richwine, who I got to see this weekend, and it's always a pleasure when I get to spend my weekend with the Larry Richwine. We're going to recap the Pullers Championship tonight. RJ Simon was supposed to be our first guest. He looked at the message earlier. He said he was coming on, but he might be trucking. He's kind of a busy guy. So the first 15 or 20 minutes were dedicated to him. We could talk about the Simons ourselves, Mike and Larry. Well, first of all, I want to know where you're watching from tonight, and then type into the comments what you thought of the Pullers Championship. I know that the live stream sucked Friday night. We all know. We had internet issues. Ryan Zolik is very, very good at doing live streams with What Smoke and Promotions, and we normally have hardwired. We did have our hardwire, but it just wasn't shooting out. But the full live stream has been uploaded, so everybody who bought it has a great Friday show. And then our Saturday night was much better. We went and we borrowed the Outlaw Truck and Tractor Pulling Starlink. So thank you, Kurt Van Beek, for that. And whoop, whoop, whoop. So Larry, why don't you talk for a little bit, Larry?
Well, not only did you get to see me, but maybe you didn't notice Michael was there too. I didn't know. I heard him talk. I didn't. Well, I seen him Saturday afternoon.
Tried to run me over with your golf cart.
Well, get in the way. You're going to die. But no, I had a good time, and I especially enjoyed Saturday night's diesel superclass because somebody I know's tractor driven by his father did well. Yeah, but other than that, yeah, he's kind of a big deal. And it was, I know, but it was a good run, and got to chalk that up for one win. Now we got to go for like 17 more. But no, I think it was a great show. I know they had a great crowd Friday night, and everybody, I hadn't been there before, but they said it was like a Saturday night crowd in the past was Friday night. And I know for a fact Saturday night was a very big crowd because I was around the corner on the finish end pulling fuel samples on select few, and everybody passed, but I still scare them once in a while. I try to enjoy. But it was a heck of a crowd, and I actually had to move some people out of the way a couple times to do my job. So it was great. Yeah.
Nice. It was fantastic. It was a record crowd Saturday night. They're still working on the numbers, and then Paul and Brent and Brad kind of get together and decide what they're going to pay. But, in the past, we've had a few comments that maybe we didn't pay enough towards the bottom spots. So I think that's something we're going to take into consideration a little bit more. So remember, every competitor paid $500 to get there. Right. So remember, this is invite only or fan vote. Everybody pays $500. That's put into the pot. And then we have every puller gets 2 free passes, but then the rest of their crew has to pay. That gets put into the pot. And then we have our sponsorship, and then every dollar from the live stream and every dollar from the admission gate then gets put into the pot. So we have all that to pay back to the pullers. So I truly feel, guys, this can become the biggest payout in pulling history. Not in the first couple of years. That was year number 3. But I truly believe, and we all believe, Paul, Brent, Brad, Carrie, all of us that work on this event, we can take this thing to the next level and really get to some big, big payouts for pullers. And that's really what it's all about. So I'm excited for that. So, Mike, this was your first trip. It was you and Chris Clark and Dan Mayer were awesome together. Chris did a great job with the crowd interactions and the winner interviews for the live stream and for the crowd. You work in color with Dan. What's it like working with – there's a lot of great truck and tractor pulling announcers. Larry Richwine's one of them that comes to my mind. His performance at Sandwich, Illinois every year is outstanding. Woo! Mike, what was it like? You just kind of got onto the national scene in the last year announcing. You are obviously part of us with the Beer Money Pulling team. But we're proud of you and what you're doing. What was it like working with Dan at a national event? I mean, this event had a lot of exposure this past weekend.
Yeah, so I consider myself truly, I tried to write a thank you note on Facebook 10 different times today, and I never could get the words right. So thank you for this opportunity to try to voice this. I consider myself so blessed and so fortunate to have been afforded the opportunity to work. I just started announcing very recently, and I've been around individuals like Larry, like Ron Stone, and to work with Dan Mayer, who I consider to be one of the premier, if not the premier voice in truck and tractor pulling. And this was in one of the drafts I tried to write. I would say he's not only the premier voice of truck and tractor pulling, but in sports broadcasting as a whole. So that's kind of the field of dreams. Moonlight Graham, he only asked that he could get one at bat. And I kind of said, if I can announce one of these pulls, I'll be happy. So you have that mentality, and the amount of preparedness and knowledge and professionalism. I walked away and I told myself, I'm not going out here to announce, I'm going out here to learn. And I feel like I learned so much with him. But the guy's incredible. I got several compliments. People were like, hey, you did a nice job. You sounded very good. No, that needs to be kicked to Dan, because I think you could put a Rock or a Billy Goat or this pin up there alongside Dan Mayer, and that's how good he is. He has the capacity to not only do his job well, but he's going to make the person standing next to him sound very, very good, because he's such a professional and he knows how to work with someone so well. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. From a fan's perspective, I thought Saturday night session was one of the top 5 single sessions and pulls that I've probably seen in quite some time. But no, it was just a privilege. The guy is amazing at what he does, and I've been very fortunate in less than 1 year to have been able to be around people of such high level announcing abilities.
That was cool.
Yeah. It was.
But Dan is truly right now one of the major, if not the most important voice. Got great pipes, great knowledge, does his homework excellent, and he don't have to look at his notes. He reads them and studies them, and he just goes out and does it. Yeah, he's very good. I agree.
I thought, truly, and we were saying this before we came online, I like to have my notes, and I typically am somewhat of a stats guy and do my homework, and Jason kind of gives me the assignment loosely, make sure you're preparing and make sure you have your notes, and he kind of trusts me with that. And I've got I thought, oh man, I was kind of cocky. Don't worry, I got the stats. I'm good. I'm going to help you. I've got it. And then he comes in with multiple binders, and it's just opening, and it's spreadsheets, and it's color coordinated, and it's biography, hometowns, wins at each league and each level. And I was like, yeah, I'm the kindergartner learning the ABCs, watching someone studying calculus right now. It's amazing. It's the guy's a stud.
Yeah, I want to thank John and Christy and the whole PPL team. The first year, Larry and Mike, we did it ourselves. We did all the lineup. We bought all of our own insurance, and we quickly found out that we're not as good at stuff as we think we were. And after that first year, but we've always been humble. We've always asked out surveys. We want everybody's opinion, and pullers are not afraid to give you their opinion. I think Larry Richwine will attest to that over the years. And
I'll testify.
But we decided to. It is an independent poll. We bring the best of the best from all the associations, and then we let the fan votes come in. But just John and Christy and the whole team make it super good, so we can really actually truly promote the poll and focus on all the other stuff. And that's really, really important to us. And this was their second year back. Obviously, they've been there with Brad's other polls. And then the Lutz Agency is our title sponsor. They gave big money, and they support Brad's polls down there as well. And then Brad Holzauer, that facility, he owns all of that. And that used to be a motocross track, Larry and Mike, back in the day. If you do some old Google map searches, and you'll find some of that out there. So it's pretty fun to come in and check all that out. So, but we got 3. Well, so I don't know what RJ's doing tonight. He's probably trucking. He's a busy guy. But I do want to give a shout out to Farley, Iowa, June 7th and 8th, NTPA Grand National Polls. Only 2 NTPA Grand Nationals in the state of Iowa. Farley, June 7th and 8th. Rockwell, Iowa, August 1 through 3. I'll be in Farley with the with fullpoll.live. If you're starting to see, that's the new live streaming of the NTPA. We're going to be in Benson, North Carolina here at the end of the month, and it's free Friday night. It's going to be a free live stream event, a free live stream of NTPA Grand National Pulling Friday night, May 31st from Benson, North Carolina. So be sure to check out Benson, North Carolina. So our first guest was somebody that originally didn't think they could come because of farming, and we got a little bit lucky.
Yes.
Remember Larry and Mike? Like 6 weeks ago, we were talking about like, oh, wow, this early spring, everybody's going to have their crops in. It's going to be great this year. And then we lost 5 diesel super stocks in the last 10 days because of farming, because of parts. And so there was a little bit of shuffling around here at the end. And we got a great call from Renee that her and Grant could come. And did they come? And they came and they kicked ass.
These are the only pullers. My chest sticks out a little bit here. These are the only ones that I can say that I had any sort of a finger involved in lining up. So this is a fun story. What the Theobalds did this weekend is a fun story. I look forward to talking about this.
And before we bring them on, and they're in the green room right now. Oh, good job, Mackenzie, changing the colors. we got their colors up here. We got their video ready to go behind us. Renee and Grant. Look at this. Fancy.
I know them.
Yeah, you do. Larry, this is I want to say this is our coming out party for the Pullers Championship this year. The first year, we'll see what these guys do. The second year, it seems legit. But maybe we had Theobalds this year. We had Kesters this year. We picked off some bigger names. Leichners came this year with the mods. And I'm not downplaying anybody who's been there all 3 years at all. But like Eric Stacy was there year 1, didn't make it in year 2, had other conflicts, comes back year 3. He's going to be on tonight as well. I mean, when we say the biggest names in pulling, they're there. And that's really what it's all about. Real quick, Larry, before we bring Renee and Grant on, what's it like teching? PPO was running tech, but this is kind of like a Louisville type of a pull. What's it like for you where not every puller is used to Larry or different things like that? Is teching any different, or how did it all go?
The only ones that weren't used to Larry were the ones from New York and the ones from California. And the guys from California over the telephone pretty well got used to Larry before they did. But the deal with the Theobalds is Keith Theobald, the main guy that started some of this for that family. I mean, I met him in 1981 in Plainville, Indiana, underneath a shade tree. And Doug and his brother were, 9-10 years old, if that. And of course, Renee is sister to my son-in-law. So there's a deep history there as far as me and the Theobald family. But no, I've enjoyed watching them grow up and have children and be prosperous and doing what they're doing. And I mean, you talk about families and you talk about Simon boys, continue what their dad did. Well, this is another case, the same thing. Third generation's winning too, but I can't have any favorites, and I don't. But when I have a family connection like that from years and years of being around them, I have to admit I smile a little bit extra. But no, they're tough competitors, top shelf operation. I mean, they still got 2-wheel drive, but Mason drives, and of course, Doug drives the mod. And I mean, it's just a family deal, and it's awesome. Renee's a hell of a driver, drove 2-wheel drive for years, and Grant's showing he is too. So it's an awesome event when they both do well. And how do you do better than one of them win one night, one of them win the other?
So Larry, how do we do this? I have him backstage. Give me the awesome Larry Richwine introduction, then I'll bring him on the screen.
Well, I'd say it'd be, ladies and gentlemen, it's really great to present to you the winner of Friday night and Saturday night that share the same last name. Mom and son, Renee and Grant. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hello.
Did I do okay?
You did perfect.
I mean, for Larry, for what I pay you, it's worth it. You know what I'm saying?
It's what.
Just a quick note, folks. I get zero. This microphone and this camera was a Christmas gift as long as I used it on Let's Grow Pulling.
Have you brought the lawn chair in from the mailbox? I take it we're not sitting out there waiting on the checks in the mail.
I waited out there in a lawn chair for many, many weeks until I received it. Yes. Enough of that. Let's talk about Wicked Pulling and all their efforts and all their successes.
Michael, take over, my man.
Yeah, what's going on? So Renee and Grant, first of all, holy moly, congratulations on a very, very successful weekend. And as a fan, as an announcer, I am really tickled that I picked up my phone and looked down at it. I was in the middle. I don't remember what I was doing. I was turkey hunting or shed hunting. I was doing something stupid out in the woods, and middle afternoon, and I get a text from Renee, and she's like, "Hey, just throwing this out there. We've got a free weekend anyway that me and my son can come down and go mini rod pulling. So we just bring the minis. Won't take up much room. Just seems like something fun to do." And I was like, "Well, I'm really glad you asked because you guys are awesome. I'm not the one to ask, but I will ask the ones that do." And I called Jason, and Jason was golfing. And so it was just one of those days. And then I get back online a few days later, and I see right there, Wicked Pulling is attending the Pullers Championship. So I love it when things come together from you're just thinking we're going to come play. And did you have it in your mind you'd be walking away with 2 first place and an overall weekend championship when you were just kind of looking to have some fun on a weekend in May?
Well, winning is always in the back of your head, but no, honestly, Grant and I just wanted to come and get an A to B pass under our belt before our first points event in Benson, North Carolina here in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so it's coming up quick. I'll tell you this. So there's a lot of big stories from Nashville, Illinois. The Puller Championship itself, just with the Friday night crowd looking like a Saturday night crowd, the Saturday night crowd looking like a huge crowd. Jason called it, kind of our coming out party. The Simons, who won everything, plus the ACMs, plus the kitchen sink, plus MVP in the NBA Finals. I don't know. I think we ran out of awards to give the Simons by the time it was over. I got back to the hotel at 2:00 in the morning. My dad was waiting up for me. He goes, "There is one thing that everyone's going to remember from this weekend." And there's a laundry list. He goes, "There's one thing." And he says, "That is going to be Renee's pass on Saturday night, winning a stacked mini rod class by 20 feet. You didn't just figure something out from the truck show and from Friday night. Whatever gremlins were pulling you left, man, you straightened that thing out. It's one thing to beat Jeff Hurt and Tyler Slaw and Jeremy and Jared Nelson, and the list goes on by 5 feet, but what, 340, 348, 343?
Yeah, 348.
That was a pass. I want to hear from backing into the sled to taking that out. Walk us through that whole process, or even what you had to fix from Friday to get you there.
Well, yeah, it pulled me really hard left in a one-wheeled and had 2 shots at it, actually, when I was test hook and came back and did the same thing. We kind of looked at some data, and I adapted my driving for Saturday night, and that worked out a little bit better. And actually on that pass, I had to hit the brake 3 times, but I hit it early enough that I was still able to have my momentum and speed that got me out there. We had a little fuel leak. We don't know where that's coming from yet, but we don't know. I don't know if that helped me a little bit or not, but at least the motor was fine. That's why I clicked it off really fast at the end. But yeah, it was an awesome run. I think it was the longest pass of the weekend.
Yeah. No, it was one of those up there in the announcer's booth, it was air conditioning. It was enclosed. It was like announcing from a suite. But we had a window, and you
up there
disappeared. We couldn't. It was one of those. We had to crank open the window and look and say, "Where'd Renee go?" And it was one of those. You almost know it's going to be a sled reset, other than the fact that you look at who had already hooked before you and what they had done. So you know that was every bit earned. That one brought the crowd to their feet. That's one that people are going to be talking about for the next couple of pulls. So I think all of Nashville, Illinois, enjoyed watching that, and you see it run in the background. You say you got on the brake, but man, that thing looks tried and true.
Thank you. It was it felt like a really good run, and we're just stoked with the weekend in general. I mean, Grant did awesome on both nights. I knew I really wasn't going to hurt him on Saturday night anyway, so with not doing so hot on Friday. So
Grant was kind of you both had the wins, and you kind of went about it in different ways. You kind of went from an 8th place finish on Friday to a 1st place monster pass on Saturday. Grant just kind of quietly 1st place on Saturday or Friday. Perfect job. Parks at top 3. Bada bing, bada boom. He's holding the big check down there, getting his picture taken. Grant, I mean, I don't know how you can quietly get 1st and 3rd, but it seems like you just did everything right. tell us about your weekend and tell us how it feels to be the overall winner, which is a really neat thing that they do at the Pullers Championship too. Kind of one of those like the Bowling Green Ring or like the Thunderbolt in Wisner, Nebraska that we give out. Those combined finishes are cool.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome to be able to come in there for the first time pulling there at the Pullers Championship and come away with a weekend championship. Friday night track's pretty tricky. It was biting really hard off the starting line, so everybody else was kind of getting out of control. So I was really just trying to go A to B, so I drove it out a little bit farther than I usually do, and it ended up working. And then Saturday night, I knew I was in good position to be able to get the overall championship. So my plan was just to try to get down the track, make solid pass, not really go hero or zero.
Yeah, it's kind of like playing in a golf scramble. You already had a monster drive out in the fairway. All you have to do on that next one is just have a true shot, and you're gonna be right there in it. So yeah, that was exciting. What was the overall experience? This is something that we really are trying to create as a destination pull, an invitation fan vote. Give us your feedback of the Pullers Championship and just kind of the vibe and what it meant to you to be pulling there.
For me, I thought it felt like a big time event. It was pretty awesome to be able to win there. So when you do that well in an event, it's kind of hard to have anything bad to say about it.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was a great run event.
Well said, Grant. That's the most honest thing I've heard all day, buddy. It won, but I think it sucked.
Yeah, that's one of those darned if you do. It's like kind of a silly question to ask. Like, what do you want me to say, Mike? That it was average and boring? Like, we're on your guys' show. Of course it's amazing.
Yeah, no, it really was amazing. I mean, we were treated amazing from the time we walked in the gate and pulled into the gate and from the time we went to bed at 4:30 in the morning on Saturday night. So
yeah, Grant,
it was all around a really good time.
Grant, I was supposed to ask you how you were feeling Sunday. I had some people hanging out with you kind of late, and they said you were having fun. So
I had a good time.
Okay, good. Well said. Hey,
Good
Renee,
answer,
quick question
Grant.
for you. The tracks were two different tracks Friday night. Now, I saw a bunch of comments on Facebook. I love reading Facebook comments, and that track was shit on Friday night. I'm gonna tell you guys one thing. We opened that track up the weekend before, and there was a 25% of rain every single day that entire week. So we left it covered the entire week until Friday morning. So then that's when we opened up and started working it. We do know it was soft at the beginning, a little bit like that, but it's just like obviously we wanted it to be better, but we did the best we could. Everybody's got to pull on the same track. Renee, what was the driving style? And Grant, you too, like what was the difference between Friday night and Saturday night? We did keep you guys on the same track both nights. A lot of the other classes switched, but we wanted the minis to have a really good, you guys put on a great show. Everybody loves mini rods. It's exciting. You never know what's going to happen. But what was the difference between the two tracks, Renee, between Friday and Saturday?
Definitely Friday was a lot softer, and I drove it harder on Friday night, and that was not the thing to do. So I basically had to wait like 50% longer with my throttle on Saturday and just kind of gain momentum and speed a little bit more that way without having the tires grow. And that just seemed to work pretty good. And Grant was very consistent both nights.
Yeah, he was able to really tame the beast, if you will, both nights because they were two different tracks. Because we did move the starting line up to 10 feet or 15 feet Saturday night as well.
Gotcha. Okay.
When we get back there a little farther like that, it actually got staked out wrong, and we wanted the sleds to be up a little bit farther because it was almost a little bit of a uphill run coming out of the hole on Friday night, but we did correct that on Saturday night. So
okay, yeah, I didn't know that.
Yep. Nope. Just we're giving you the tidbits now. So it's all
the insider scoop. So
it all worked out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't build tracks, and I just work on my job is to promote and get as many people there as I can and talk to sponsors and stuff like that. That's my contribution to this great event. Brent and Paul and Carrie and Brad do everything else. Clint Tucker's in charge of building our track, and he always builds good tracks. We got good people there. Question for you from Chandler Pickler, Renee. Renee, what made you switch from two-wheel drive to mini rod?
I always wanted to try driving, be in the mini rod class, and then Grant actually showed interest in wanting a mini rod. So it was an easier way to nudge Doug to be like, hey, let's get a mini rod. And so then Grant had one for the first year in 22, and he actually was not able to go to a couple of pulls because of school at Purdue University. So I was able to drive his 4 different times and got a win under my belt. So that was pretty much an automatic, okay, yeah, this is pretty cool. So that was nice that I kind of got to tiptoe into the mini rod class to just make sure that, am I going to like this or not? You know, and it was a definite, yeah, let's go ahead and build me a mini rod. And we knew Mason was coming up and going to want to drive something. So he kind of got, per se, stuck with the 2-wheel drive truck, but I'm sure he'll be in a mini ride here in a couple years for sure.
But I've heard that he might be a little bit of a black sheep. I've heard that he kind of has his heart set on something quite a bit different. I saw him and I was busy running around and I asked him, I said, hey, Mason, have you built your pro stock yet? So I want to hear about, you know, the pro. What are we going to build the boy a pro stock? Are we going to get into black smoke and tractors? Grant's already shaking. He says, no, it's the spark plug family.
Grant and Doug say no, but if anybody wants to come on and go in with Mason, that might work, and they can take care of the motor and all that good stuff, and they can trade on and off or something like that. But I don't think Doug and Grant are down with the whole black smoke deal. I mean, we love black smoke. Don't get me wrong. I grew up with black smoke.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Yeah. I think Neil Gettinger might say, "Whoa."
Yeah. We all love black smoke. We love, you know, super stocks, pro stocks, all that good stuff. But yeah.
No, it's
but good. Neil did switch to methanol, so I mean, you know, you could only use so much hand cleaner when you're working on a diesel. Is all I got to say.
Yeah.
Grant, tell us one thing that nobody knows about you that you can say on air without going to jail.
So nobody knows about me. I don't know.
Like a Purdue story or something.
Yeah, you got any good Purdue stories? Any good Purdue stories? Any funny stories about your mom or your dad? You know, not super embarrassing, really, but enough to make them blush.
He's smarter than that, Grant.
Hey, Grant, is that your TPC trophy above your head?
It is.
There? Will you grab that? These are sweet trophies. Brent Yarn found this company out of Nevada. They turned out really good. I want you guys to check these out.
They are cool looking, yeah.
Super proud of them.
Yeah, hold that thing up with pride, man.
So there's your Modern Machine Mini Rod TPC trophy there. And thank you to Corporals for sponsoring that. We appreciate them doing that a lot. Yeah, Renee, it means a lot to us that you and Doug and the boys came. You're big time polling names family to be there, and it's good for our event as we're trying to grow this into something pretty special. And I think we're on our way. It felt so good. Saturday night was like the happiest night of my life as a promoter person. Beautiful weather, and I'm not that good of a person at heart. And I said to my team, I said, one of you guys has been going to church more than me, because I said whoever ordered this weather is perfect. And
it was a perfect weekend.
To see that crowd just grow. And Brad was already talking about buying more bleachers Saturday night. And then to see you pullers put on a fantastic show, it made it all worthwhile, Renee. All worthwhile.
Thank you. Yeah, you had a lot of awesome fans there that really knew their pulling stuff and came up to us and specifically, you know, sought us out. And it was just really, really fun to interact with all the fans there. And I can definitely see this show growing every year by a lot.
Yeah,
I think it's a reflection too of social media, because you work really hard. You guys run a top-notch social media page, and this being an event that is so heavily promoted on social media and the fan vote and gets involved. So I saw a lot of that style of interaction, and that's also proof that style of promoting, or that is the direction we're going, can put fans in the seats. So I think the fact that you're always willing, you know, Renee, to be so transparent with the fans and schedule your posts and stuff. You guys run a great social media page. So it's fun when those fans can come up and be like, oh, I've watched all this. I get to talk to you in person now.
Yeah. Social media just lets you interact and connect with everyone, promoters, fans, pullers, so much easier and faster, and get the word out easier.
Well, that's the one thing, Renee, we talked about from the get-go with this event was we wanted to turn the puller into the promoter. And everybody always says, oh, I only have a couple thousand followers. It doesn't matter. Those a couple thousand followers are more dedicated to you, and they want to know where you're going to go. And Renee, you've been one of the earlier people out front, really letting your fans know where you're going to be. And that's huge for the promoters, because that Saturday night crowd was awesome, but that was nowhere near where we needed to get in the future to really get some big time paybacks for what these things are actually worth. What was that question? I liked that. Go up. How hard were they tuning it? Renee, Dylan Dirk says, I just want to know how hard they were turning it Saturday night. It sounded like it was on the chip and some.
No, it was good.
Okay.
Sounded
We got
pretty
more
good.
to play with.
Sounded pretty good to me.
They got more to play with. I like it. Grant, what's a better party, Purdue or Bowling Green Campground?
I think I'm gonna have to go with Bowling Green.
I'd have to go Bowling Green, yeah. I'm going to say. We got a couple minutes left with you guys that we're going to bring on Jeremy Nelson, who just decided to switch engines in the middle of Saturday afternoon, which is a story in its own. Renee, what is one track or one venue that has just got you over the years, and no matter what you do, it just kicks your ass?
Well, so far in the mini rod class, I would have to be Fort Recovery, Ohio.
That's what Tyler Slaw said
in the
last
minis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
that was my first one to just really get me. But I don't know. They're all a challenge, and they can either, one year they can be good to you, the next year it's not. I don't know. You just don't need to really get that kind of stuff in your head too much. And every day is a new day, and you just got to put the bad stuff behind you and not really think about it. But if I had to pick, I'd say Fort Recovery right now off the top of my head, just
Grant,
because it was the first time I went out of bounds.
Okay, fair enough.
So
fair enough. No, that's true. Grant, is there a track or a venue that just kind of seems to has your number?
I would say the right side track at Hutchinson, Minnesota has not been good to me.
So you and the left side get along. It's just the right side that you're not friends with.
The right side every time it just kicks me.
Yeah, Ference Vague, he goes, ironic you asked that question. They have the Jumpin' Jack Flash Super Stock Diesel Truck, and it is not – the Pullers Championship has not been kind to their pulling team.
Yeah.
Over the years.
Yeah.
And then, Grant, I'm going to make sure they do not run minis during the day at Rockwell, Iowa this year either. I promise.
Thank you.
Yes.
I really appreciate that.
Like, I have no power. I'm just going to be announcing full live, but I'm going to make sure that they do not run the minis Saturday. I run their social media, so I guess I can say something. We can start.
Hold him to that, Grant. Hold him to that. If that happens, just go over to him and smack him and say, "Oh, you're going to stop this."
Pull under protest. Say, I'm protesting the results of this poll.
No, don't start that, Michael, please. No, don't ever say under No, please.
Not that word. Say,
No.
I pull.
No.
Well, I'll just leave it
on your note sheet before you mark out the word. Yeah, no protest.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
Renee, how is farming going for you and Doug this year?
Very, very slow. It's very wet. We just got short of 5 inches last week. So we had some fields underwater, and it made Doug not feel so guilty about going this weekend to the Pullers Championship. So that was good. We thought it was just going to be Grant and I, but Doug got to go, Mason got to go. But yeah, everything's really slow. Grant's been planting, and we've got 4 planters going when we can be in the fields. So I think Doug said we had 2,700 acres left.
Yeah, we're a little over halfway done.
Yeah.
We should be able to start planting again tomorrow.
Good. Grant, what are you going to school for?
Ag Systems Management.
Nice. Hey, Renee, can you take us through kind of this? Who works on your engines and your chassis people and your tire people, and who are some people you want to thank?
Modern Machine builds all of our chassis. And
hey, they're your class sponsor. Yeah,
that's right.
I was afraid to ask. I was afraid to ask earlier in case you worked with somebody else.
Yeah, no, we work with Les and talk to Les a lot, and his wife Corey, and Doug and Josh Miles and Roger Williams do all of our engine work in house, and we do a lot of other motor work for other customers, pulling customers, and. Bob Nichols does our tires. Who else do I need to mention?
All the guys that work on the farm while we're gone pulling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome to see Doug there. I thought for sure it was just going to be the two of you, and I saw him jump out of the toter. And I'm like, woohoo! So it was pretty fun. That was the first year where we parked you all. We kind of wanted to put some mods and some minis in there because that's really where a lot of the fans walk by. And they don't get to see stuff like that in Southern Illinois, Renee. So that's why we shoved a lot of you in that parking lot.
Yeah, well, that'd be awesome if since we won the champion weekend, I think we should get that same spot again next year.
We have a meeting Thursday night. But you guys are invited back automatically. So
that's what I heard.
Previous winners there should be like, no, you know how Brent kind of painted the lines this year? Well, you can grid that out, and previous winners get first choice on parking spots going into the next year.
Sounds fair.
Yeah,
I think that's like a nice little perk. You win and you say, oh yeah, I want, this, or I want over there, and you can claim it for a season.
I have a question. So Jason's tractor won with his dad driving it. Does that mean he no longer has to be promoter's choice to get in? I'm sorry.
Larry,
automatic bid now.
Like I told you, it wasn't about the win. I just saw my new tractor go down the track with my dad driving it Saturday.
Yeah, but I seen you with tears in your eyes give your daddy a hug when he won. My God, I was down at the finish end. I saw the emotion.
I was pretty freaking happy. Well, after Friday night.
By the way, Mason and Renee, see that hat? We're all basketball fans, and of course they were big Purdue fans. But yeah, I was really intrigued last night with Spike Lee wasn't happy.
Yeah, we like that too.
I knew you were watching.
Yeah, it's been a good series to watch.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have Jeremy Nelson yet, so let's keep talking to Renee and Grant. If you have any questions for Renee and Grant, please throw them in the comments. Logan Stevens, are you guys going to make any PPL hooks this year, Renee?
We will probably try to go to Fairfield.
Okay. Is that close to home?
It's probably 3 hours.
No.
What's your farthest NTPA Grand National hook that you guys go to?
Benson.
Yeah, Benson seems to be a common answer, and that's coming up not this weekend, but the weekend after. I've never been out there. I'll be out there with the full pole live on the announcing crew. It looks like, I'm assuming it's a pretty sweet venue. I mean, isn't it big grandstands like the racetrack?
Oh, yeah. It's a very nice facility. A lot of
beautiful.
You park on blacktop. It's really good hospitality.
Cool.
It's awesome venue.
We got Jeremy Nelson and waiting in the wings now. So, Renee, Grant, thank you for coming to the Polars Championship. It means a ton to us to get, we're building this event, getting something going, and to have Polars at your level, what's a fancy word I'm looking for, Larry? Your resume
of your prestigious I don't know. All I know is I consider them family, so I'm going like this,
Let me ask them. Do you consider Larry Richwine family, Renee?
Ooh. Oh, definitely.
Okay.
He's Uncle Larry.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Renee, Grant, thank you. You guys have a safe spring. We'll see you in Benson, okay?
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. The Theobald family, Michael.
Yeah. So back to, my past year. I want to talk about my past year just a little bit.
Stop,
to go from.
Stop. Is this going to be one of these like 30-second things? Or is this going to be one of those 30-minute things? Because we got people in the wings.
Yeah, if it's 30 minutes,
call them my favorite family in pulling. When I was just as a fan, I would post on Facebook.
If you're going to be talking like you do, Jason and Kinsey went out and got beverages and stuff, and I need to go get a cold train because this is about. I got stuff to do. If you're going to talk, Michael, just let me know.
I was given a commencement speech at a graduation one time, and by the time the A's had come across the stage and they were getting all the way to the Z's, the A's had already completed their first 2 years of college before I had finished with the entire address. So they had their associate's degree wrapped up. So you can get a lot done when I get on my soapbox. So yeah, if you've got a to-do list, just let me know and I'll get going and we'll all get there together.
Perfect. All right. So Mike, you introduce our next guest and set this baby up for us.
Yeah, so Jeremy and Jared Nelson, who made their debut, longtime two-wheel drive truck pullers, just like Theobald's from the Midnight Motorsport Camp, ventured out into the mini rod world. And if you look back a couple of years ago, there was a mini rod that was making a lot of noise around 2021, 2022 in a pro pulling league from the great state of Missouri. The Formula 1X mini rod kind of popped on the scene, rookie on the year, and did really, really well. It then made its way into the Midnight Motorsports stable, where everyone kind of said this appropriately named half past midnight mini rod should fit like a hand in a glove. The Nelsons, we all kind of thought as drivers, should climb in the roll cage here, and this should look really, really good. And they made their maiden voyage as a fan boat because everyone knew this was going to be great. They made their maiden voyage, parked this thing way down the end of the track, and from the announcer's booth on the right-hand side, we're high-fiving and fist-pumping because we can't see the left side of this engine, which now has a peephole in it from where I believe they have thrown a rod out the side of it. Larry has
keep talking.
Nelson, did you get any sleep yet, buddy?
Got a little bit last night. Still ready for bed tonight, but we're catching up slowly but surely.
No, thanks for coming on. So again, the Theobalds being there, you guys being there, you guys live so close. It's great to have you there. Let's talk about your weekend. You were sitting back there in the pits, and I just, as a fellow puller, seeing that just makes me want to throw up in my mouth because I know how much all that stuff costs and the time and all that. And you looked at me and said, Jason, that was like the best and the worst 15 seconds of your life all at the same time. Can you take us through that Friday night pass?
Well, yeah, because we just literally got the motor in Tuesday night, I think. We fired it for the first time ever. So put it in, everything's good to go, fires up, sounds great. You're all jacked up, and then you see several veterans in the class go out and almost crash their stuff, and you think, boy, I don't know if this was such a good idea or not. And I guess to back up, we're short-staffed anyway. Jared, his trucking business got super busy. He was slated to drive Friday night because he had graduation Saturday. So I said, well, I guess you're making the maiden voyage. And then he texts me about 3:00 Friday and says, hey, I don't think I'm going to make it. So it's all you. And I got Tanner, Brady, and Blake, 3 kids with me. And that's my crew, which I wouldn't trade them for the world, but that was different, not having the rest of the team. Misty stayed home, so I didn't have her support, and it was just kind of, I don't know, I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of shitting bricks there for a while when when it was time to go, and then we took our best shot at it and blew into the lead by 20 foot, and I was just coming off the throttle thinking, man, this is badass, and then a big fireball, and then I see nothing but parts on the track. And you said 20 seconds. That's a lot of emotion in about a second and a half there, from knowing you took the lead on your first pass on a mini rod to knowing you just scattered your motor. So I didn't even get to enjoy the good run that we laid down a heck of a pass for the first time in a mini rod of our own, I felt like. And so I didn't even get to enjoy that, but for about a second and a half until the motor blew. So it was very bittersweet for sure.
Did you know from minute one that you would be back Saturday night, or did you think you were done? What was the process from going from how do we recover, or were you right into, hey, we'll run home and make this happen?
No, I ain't going to lie, and my family will tell you the same thing. When things go bad, I'm kind of a sore loser. I get pissed off, and I was done. And anybody that was around our trailer looking at the carnage will tell you I was sitting there drinking Twisted Teas and didn't even touch the thing. And Tanner and Brady and Blake just started taking stuff off of it. And we had a motor upstairs in the trailer, and I thought, well, we could put that in. It was a truck motor, for one of our trucks, but I was like, it'll make a lap. And then about 2:00 in the morning, it hit me in bed that I'm like, that won't work. I don't have the right pieces to make that work. Well, Jared had one that would work at his shop in Altamont. So no, when it first happened, I was done with it. And then, seeing the boys get kind of trying to get me motivated, and then it hit me too. We got voted into this poll, and it'd be kind of bad just to give up that easy. It's one thing if it's a points race, you're giving up on yourself, but I felt like, we're kind of going to disappoint a lot of fans that voted us in if we just give up that easy. So all that, and with them pushing me, I decided, you know what, which again, I'm telling you that we had a short crew because Jared and Jordan wasn't there. So I had a good crew, but I had a short crew. So it was a lot. And about 3:00 in the afternoon on Saturday, I thought we'd bit off more than we can chew. But, with the help of, Paul at 618, he got the mini in the shop, and some good friends, Russell Phipps. I called them. I'm like, hey, if you could do a favor, I was trying to save. I knew he was going to be down to minutes, so I'm like, instead of us getting there with the motor and having to rearrange the mini rod into the shop, they already had it setting in there. We had to make some oil lines because it destroyed some oil lines, and if one thing went wrong, there was 15 that I thought there was 15 signs we wasn't supposed to run, but we persevered through it all somehow and got it down the track. It wasn't Friday night's lap was a lot better than Saturday night's, but we made a lap. We got a top 5. So I guess all in all, it was a good weekend.
It was great. Here's the time lapse video of you guys doing that. That is the 618 Motorsports shop, which is directly behind the pulling track back there. So it's nice to have a nice air conditioned shop to work on that in, and then wheel it out the door. And I heard you guys fire at 5:30, 6 o'clock. I can't remember.
But yeah, about 5:30, it was rolling out the door, and it started at 6. So if there was any snafu in the fire up, we wasn't going to make the call. But luckily, we did everything right, and it fired up, no problems, and adjusted a few things, and then we wormed our way to the scales, and there wasn't a whole lot of downtime Saturday, though. It was roll it out of the shop, fire it, go get dressed, and before we knew it, we was pulling. So that is pretty cool. I seen the camera set up. I didn't know that they recorded it all, but we're not NHRA fast, but we was pretty efficient for what we had to work with.
Yeah, no, we got to put a video on there and did a time lapse. So we're gonna post this later this week, but we wanted to share it tonight, and it just this shows the commitment. Jeremy. We really wanted to get you guys in the first year with the two-wheel drive trucks, and it just didn't work out because of farming. And we brought the mini rods in the last couple of years. What were your just overall, besides the fact, just as a pulling fan? I mean, what are your thoughts of our event? What do you like? What do you want us to see us do differently? What are your overall thoughts of the Pullers Championship?
Well, I'll be honest. I'd followed the event. I hadn't been there. We couldn't come with the trucks when you had the trucks, and we'd always live streamed it and watched it just because. I told you from the get-go, I love the idea. The time of year for us is just, it's hit or miss. And the last 2 years it's been a miss. This year we had a window, and we went pretty hard at farming so we could make it down there, and we got done the Sunday of Mother's Day so we could come down there. But for me, as a puller, I was at the first event that was ever held at Holzhauer's track. It was an ITPA event. And to see where it was, Friday night, I was absolutely blown away. I'm like, this is a Friday night crowd. This is what I expected for Saturday night. And then I talked to Brad Holzhauer and you guys, and they're like, yeah, this is our best crowd ever, and it's Friday night. So that's another reason that kind of motivated us to. I'm like, man, I don't want to miss the big night at Saturday, because knowing how big Friday night was, you can always bank on a Saturday event being even bigger and better. And I don't know, it's a disease we got. I just can't give up. I'm not one to sit still and just, it would have been easy to sit there and just relax all day and, drink a few beers and watch a pull, but we're competitors at heart. So luckily I had my 15-year-old with me in my ear, and that's the motivation I needed to get going. So we got motivated and got it done. But the event as a whole was, I was blown away, honestly. Like I said, it's really easy for me to see how it's grown because I was at the very first event that was ever held there. And I didn't think that Nashville, Illinois would ever get that kind of crowd, but you guys have done a phenomenal job. So I told Paul and Brad both, I'm like, you keep going at it. This event's going to be something big. Just seeing how much it's grown in 3 years is phenomenal. That's
awesome. Well, and having pullers at your level, and I told Theobald the same thing, Jeremy. It means a lot to us. The Nelson name's big. Everybody we have on the show tonight's a big time pulling name. We got Eric Stacy coming up here in a little bit. RJ Simon's going to jump on at 9:20. Simon's had a huge weekend. Brandon Simon said a little bit ago, warranty ?
Yeah, I think the warranty was I get both pieces. So. That was a bummer for sure, but that's motorsports, so I guess it's a setback for us. That was supposed to be our primary motor, and the one that's in was just kind of a backup for the trucks and the Mini. So I don't know. We'll keep going, but another one of them, and the Mini might be short-lived, or one of the trucks might have to sit. But that Mini sure is fun. I can tell you that.
It was good. It was good to see you back. I mean, I got to watch you pull back in Hillsboro. When did you drive? Bunny, was it Bunnages? Did you drive? Or I can't remember whose you drove.
No, Terry Joe Stocks. I
Terry
drove
Joe
for
Stocks.
2 or 3 years, and so I've been in the mini rod game, and I've wanted to get back in it ever since, just because we had some good passes in and had a lot of fun, and this deal presented itself. And Jared texted me. He's like, "Hey," he said, "Matt said he'd sell us his Mini. You want to go halves?" And I'm like, I've toyed with the idea myself, but I just couldn't make the leap myself. But when he said, "You want to go partners on it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think that'll work." So now I'm curious. I'm anxious to get him in the seat, because he's never been in the seat of a mini rod. So
Nice.
I mean, I know how the ride is. I remember my first ride, so we got to get him a good ride. So he would have got a good ride Friday night, but it would have kicked the rods out of it, so that would have kind of been a bummer. So I guess good thing he got busy working and didn't make it. So
Yeah, what kind of phone call was that to him when you had to tell him?
well, I didn't tell him. Tanner's usually pretty good at keeping everybody informed, because I like to concentrate on what's going on, and after that happened, I didn't talk to nobody on the phone. So he talked to John Card, our engine builder, and he talked to Jared, and I think the only person I called was my wife, and she'd already seen it on the live stream. So pretty well everybody knew that it was not going to be good.
We got a few minutes here. Eric Stacy's in the backstage. Jeremy, this is a question we've been asking recently. What is one track out of all your pulling years that has Jeremy Nelson's number? You can't quite seem to whip it. Is there a venue or a certain track or a certain location that you're just like, man, why can't I tame this thing?
That'd be Louisville, Kentucky. And this year, I mean, kind of solidified it with Jared winning. I drove his truck and got third, and Jared won. Bethany got second. But I myself, whether it be prelim night or Saturday night, I've been in the winner's circle a lot, but I've never won the dang thing. So that's my Daytona 500, and I guess I'm going to keep trying to win it until I die, but I keep seeing my years numbered. Tanner's going to start driving here soon, so I hope it happens sooner than later. But that's the one we've won Bowling Green and got a ring, and that's a big one. Won about every PPL track there is to win, but Louisville, Kentucky's on my list. That's the top of my hit list.
Louisville, Nelson wants you. Hey, Rope, before we let you go, Richwine, what are some other stories you've seen engines or motors get changed out in between sessions, if you will, over the years? You got a lot of years.
That's pretty common occurrence. I mean, that when I seen him rolling the chassis towards the shop, I thought the motor's either here or almost here, but no, it's at the level that Jeremy and them guys run, it's not uncommon. I mean, most all of them either have a spare or have access to a spare like they did. If you really want to get it back together, they work all night and they get it back together just like they did the next morning. So I wasn't surprised.
We found out just how much of a difference there is between putting a motor in a mini rod versus putting a motor in a truck. They're the same motors, but there is a lot of differences. The fuel pump, the fuel pump's different, so the cam drive changes. All the fuel lines are different. All the oil lines are different.
Right.
You had to take valve cover studs off and, idler pulley studs off. It was just every time you turned around, it was 15 minutes here, 20 minutes here. And so we will in the future. I mean, that was our first lick at a mini rod, and we got another motor in the works, but it's going to be for 2025 because it's just a slow build, but we will be better prepared going forward. But this was kind of
it's like anything. It takes time to accumulate parts, and no matter what you take with you spare, you need something you didn't have.
That's right.
But Jason, as far as to answer your question on one of the most impressive engine swaps, I would have to say was a Sandwich a few years ago when Mike Connie lost a motor at the 12:30 session in the afternoon. And of course, he had a complete engine, turbo, and all that had been dynoed sitting in the trailer. And his guys switched it out, and he was in lineup an hour before showtime for the 6:30 show, ready to go. That had to be one of the most impressive swaps. But the bottom line was it was complete engine, bolt in, bolt out, and it was already there on the grounds where Jeremy scrambled, and like you say, I'm the same way, Jeremy. I used to be all the hell with it. It ain't worth working all night. And then when everybody else gives you the, hey, I'll help you, we need to do this. And I understand 100%.
Well, you can only drink so much beer. I mean, I wasn't going to drink all day, so I was like, what am I going to do the rest of the day?
I love it.
They were giving away Coltrane during the event, so you could have had some more energy. You know what I'm saying? But
I had several of them too through the day. So
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, I
Jeremy?
drank 3 at Louisville. I drank 3 at Louisville, and John and Christy said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I have more mass and weight. I can handle 3."
Jeremy, thank you to you and your family for all you guys have done for pulling. Thank you for coming to our event. We're hoping you enjoyed it. It sounds like you did, and hopefully we'll see you back next year. Say hi to everybody, and we'll see you down the road, buddy.
All right, just tell Brad and the whole bunch at the Pullers Championship, we appreciate all the help, appreciate what you guys are doing, and when we look forward to coming back.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, Jeremy. Have a great
Thanks.
night. Mike Idle,
Yes.
our next guest. I don't know if you could give me in the last 5-10 years, super stock diesel truck pulling, somebody that's been as dominant, consistent over the years than this next guest we're bringing on now. He was at our first TPC. Last year he couldn't make it. He did get invited, but he won it all this year. I think he won it all the first year. Eric, did you win it all the first year too?
No, I think Van won it the first year.
We just let him do that because he's getting old.
Yeah. I think now the Van calls the OGs. He's won it, Kent's won it, and I've won it. So we're just still riding that train, I guess, us 3.
Smoking HT had an awesome pass both nights, and you got the overall win of the weekend. Now you won Friday night, right? And then what'd you get Saturday night?
We ended up 3rd.
3rd, okay.
Yeah, wish I could have that one back. I really pretty disappointed in myself. I felt like I did a pretty bad job of driving Saturday, but the main reason we went out there was just to enjoy a good early weekend, and obviously it's been raining so much, there ain't much else we can do anyway. So we got a lot of new parts in the truck this year, and tried to thought it'd be a good time to do some testing and see where we stacked up. We've had a good run the last 3 seasons, between PPL and NTPA. We've kind of been on a pretty good tear, so I wanted to make sure that I didn't regress anything.
No, and that's one of the things when we kind of thought of this idea, and we talked to Brad about it, Eric, was turn the puller into the promoter, really encourage the puller to promote it on their social, because the more money, the more fans in the stands, the more money you guys get. And it is kind of a big time testing tune for the season. It gives everybody a chance to get out and pull against everybody. And I know the time of the year is tough, but we know we can't do it during the points year, and we know if we do it at the end of the year, Eric will never get anybody because every parts are tired and harvest and all that stuff. So our date's kind of always going to be right around when it is, and it kind of is what it is. So
yeah, I get that completely. I mean, from year to year, it's going to change too, because, obviously we know the weather's not the same every year. And luckily we had a beautiful weekend out there this weekend. I don't think it could have been much better in my opinion.
No, it was perfect. We got lucky. I don't know. We had covered the track all week. Eric, there was a 25% chance of rain every day or more that whole week. Thursday night going to bed, we were worried about Friday, and man, we woke up and Friday turned out to be a beautiful day. So we're showing some of your passes from Friday and Saturday night behind the
a few angles I see there that I haven't seen yet.
That's because we haven't had a chance to get all our videos uploaded yet. So it's all good.
Yeah, so you're not only a featured guest, but this is like a time in the film room for you right now. Yeah. So it's
right now.
Yeah, we can when we get these posted, we'll send you the link to them, Eric. So.
Oh, cool. No,
go ahead, Eric.
We had a really good time. I mean, even early in the season, I know there was some guys that run really good, that couldn't make it because, they have other obligations with farming and their businesses and stuff like that. But, there was every truck that was there this weekend is a good truck. I mean, anybody can win, and a lot of nights it just comes down really to how you drive it. I mean, it's become such a driver's class, and I'm not like putting myself up there like on a pedestal or nothing, but like, it's taken me, this will be my 25th year in pulling, the first 20 years, I was kind of hero or zero. I mean, in the last 4 is when I've kind of, found my craft, I think, a little bit. And that's just seat time. I mean, it just takes a long time to figure out how to understand all the parts and pieces that you've been trying to put together and make it work for all these years, and just, learning.
One thing, Eric, I'm impressed the patience that you guys have to wait on those things. I swear there's some places I don't see you get on those trucks. So 200, 250 feet, I swear. It's incredible the amount of patience you guys have driving those trucks.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to have all the components to be able to do that. I mean, it's, the pump's got to be perfect. The whole package on that motor has to be perfect for it to be that drivable, and I think a lot now we don't put so much effort into finding horsepower every year. We're trying to find more drivability, because that's, at the end of the day, I mean, we weigh 7,500 pounds and we've got a small tire. So we can't put to the ground what we have now. So you're just trying to find that drivability and how smooth it is. And when you need to apply it, it's there. You don't want it lazy and you don't want it too snappy, but there's a fine line there. And, we've really worked hard on that. And, thankfully, Shide's given me a wonderful motor program the last 4 years. I mean, the motor's fresh now. It has 2 runs on it, but before that, it was in the low 80s, and that one motor won 3 championships in a row, and
wow.
it never came apart. So,
Awesome.
the proof's in the pudding there. They make a really nice combination of stuff.
The diesel truck. So you've been pulling for 25 years. Have you always been a truck puller, or?
Yep. I started in 2000. It was more of like a run what you brung type of thing, or they called it open diesel. There really wasn't a place for us. We just went around and exhibitioned everywhere, and for nothing, literally get paid nothing, and we would just drive around and go hook wherever we could. The late great Dave Mitchell, Van Hazley, of course, Kent Crowder. I mean, there's a handful of other people back in the day, but that's where it kind of all started.
Yeah, Chris Kahlberger says Eric is an OG diesel in Ohio. Rest in peace, Dave Mitchell.
Yeah.
And then he said, I've been watching Eric since he pulled at Perry County.
Yep, that was actually the county from where Dave's business was Enterprise Engine Performance. So that was who built my first few motors there when I first got started. And things have changed a lot since then. I've told a lot of people, I wish financially that you could come to right where we're at right now, because the technology and where we're at, the class has never been better. The people, everything, but I wouldn't give up the experience and the amount of people that I've met in that amount of time for anything. Because just the other night, Saturday night, I saw an old friend from Missouri that I hadn't seen for probably 15 years, and just, hit it off back again, and just felt like old times again, and those are the things that stick with me forever.
No, that's great. Diesel trucks are a big part of pulling. They're an important part of pulling. I think it brings another fan base. I think it brings a younger fan base to our sport. I feel like diesel trucks and mini rods have been the last 10 years, Eric, honestly, like the two fastest growing segments of our sport. But I remember like 15 years ago, hell, guys were driving their trucks to the pulls, and it wasn't like 2 or 3 years later, all of a sudden we're coming in on trailers, and boom, here we are. And it's really exploded in the last 10 years. So, yeah,
they were, a lot of people used to pull their pulling truck on a gooseneck trailer and then unhook the tow truck and pull it too. I see that a lot. I might have been one that did that at one point.
That's great.
Do you think Lily would have married you if you didn't have a super stock diesel truck, because she's a super stock diesel tractor family?
That's a good question. I don't know. She loves this more than I do, probably. She's ate up with it. I mean, it makes it so easy for her and I, because, we have so much in common, but to be honest with you, we don't always, we talk about pulling a lot, but it's not like you would think it would be, it's just kind of a side note, she knows what I'm thinking. I know what she's thinking. And like, kind of goes hand in hand. It was a pretty amazing fit, to be honest with you.
No, you guys look good together. You always seem happy.
Mhm.
How did you get into pulling? Like, did your dad pull, or was it friends, or how did you get started?
No, not really. I mean, as a kid, I had always did some tug pulling, at the local fair and stuff like that, the tractor and stuff like that. But basically just kind of had some friends that started inviting me to go to Bowling Green and Louisville when I was, at a young age. And, obviously I'm close to Georgetown, Ohio, where they always had an NTPA Grand National event and the fair pull, which is, a really good pull for a fair pull every year. I mean, they have a huge turnout. So that was always kind of a hometown thing. So I was introduced and was around that stuff, pretty much all my life. And then the diesel truck thing, it just kind of came out of nowhere. I knew I wanted a diesel truck. My first truck was I think a 97 Dodge 12 valve, and kind of got introduced to, the pulling side of it by seeing Dave Mitchell. And then next thing you know, just jumped into it and kind of never looked back.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Larry, the diesel truck class over your years as being tech officials, when did you see it really make that big jump to where we are now?
Well, when you got the Shides and people like that building motors, and it wasn't just a bunch of guys buying parts and bolting it on, and of course, like, you got Fleece now that's gone from working on trucks, local trucks, all they do is performance end of it, and they're just 4 miles from me. But no, I met Eric. Wasn't it at the Ohio Fair Managers Convention first time you and I ever met?
Probably. I think
you were on display.
Yeah, that would have been probably 2005 or 6, somewhere in there,
Yeah.
6, 7.
So, Larry, when you say Eric was on display, he was just standing there, or?
No, he didn't know Lily then, but I mean, she probably would have let him. His truck was on display at the booth there at the Ohio Fair Managers Convention. Of course, I was hanging around, and working for NTPA, and we got visited and stuff, and he showed me a little bit about it, and I was intrigued what they were doing. Because the diesel supers and pro stocks and everything else that I'd been around, all of a sudden, bam, it's in a truck, and a longer wheelbase, which is a whole different dynamic as far as geometry and stuff of a truck. And yeah, I was intrigued to start getting some interest in it, besides having to tech it and work with them. But you're right, Jason, that it takes them 150, 200 feet to get hooked up to the track. Of all the classes, you say, well, what's wrong with a 300-foot track? If anybody needs a 320 or a 350 track, it's a diesel truck to actually get it to the ground and get it hooked up and run with it. You put them on a short track, and they have a lot of trouble compared to what they can do outside. Just from my perspective on setting the sled and stuff, it's a whole different ball game. But no, I've known Eric since that first meeting him and watched him progress. But it's come a long way from the days when they hauled him in and unhooked the truck that towed the gooseneck trailer, run it in the stock class, and then run the other one in the performance class. But
yeah, for sure.
If you're just joining us, Eric Stacy, your weekend winner from the Pullers Championship. He won Friday night. I think you said you got third Saturday night. Yeah. We do a Bowling Green thing, $5,000 to win. So we're happy to present that check to you, Eric. We had a record crowd Saturday night, so I don't know any exact numbers, but obviously we're gonna have a big payback this year for everybody, 1 through 10. So we're excited for that. One question we've been asking all the pullers, Eric, is what's one track? It could be from the old days or now, but no matter you go there, it just seems that I can't do well here, or I just can't beat it, or one place that's kind of always given you some trouble, Eric, over the years.
Bowling Green Friday day session. I cannot seem to get out of my own way, whether it's breakage or I do something I shouldn't do, as far as driving, or I don't know. I just can't get over that hump on Friday at Bowling Green. Saturday night, I've won that session multiple times. I don't know. It's not nerves. I don't know what it is. I honestly, I can't figure it out, honestly. Like, if I knew, I think that, I would be in contention for a ring, at some point, but I've never won that ring. And that's, something that I want so bad, like I would trade that ring for one of my championships. I've got the farm show, been Puller of the Year with PPL and NTPA and Grand National and Champions Tour champions, and won the belt buckle, and won the Pullers Championship now. But that ring is something that I really want to do, and I really want to get it. And I think with what I have right now, I think that this is in kind of my prime of the best opportunities. If I could just have a little bit of luck go my way at some point and put together 2 good days.
You're like a really, really good NFL quarterback. You just need a better line, Otherwise, you're running for your life all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric, speaking of a setup, I always know that Sandridge guy's hanging around with you. You talk about your program and who all the people that put, make your truck great. You drive it, but there's some good components in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Nate and Jake Bowes at Sandridge, they've built a handful of chassis for guys, Justin Gerhardt, Shane Kellogg, Nick Gillette, Keith Witt. I mean, there's a handful of them out there now, and that's a big component of it, but Nate gives us the piece to it, but we still have to fine tune it, and then we all have our own niche on shocks and springs and tires and, just all that kind of stuff. So that really doesn't involve him as much, but anything that I ever need him to do or ask him to do, he's always willing and will do it. And there's nobody better that I've seen that can fabricate like they can. Obviously, Weimers do the fuel system and the turbos and stuff, and everybody knows their reputation. That's not an issue. Bob Nichols' tire program's been excellent the past few years. He's worked with me a lot on some different things I wanted to try, and he's always willing to do whatever I ask him to. And then obviously, Kent Crowder, one of my fellow competitors, but, he also builds my motor too, or at least, the long block on it, and the durability, the drivability, the power, it speaks for itself. I mean, he was the PPL champion last year. I was the NTPA champion, and he's got a good formula there. And, I give him a lot of praise for what he's done and for the sport in general.
You're muted, Jason.
What are your plans? Mackenzie muted me. Sorry. My co-host. Normally Larry, I should give Larry a button. He'd mute me all the time though. Eric, what are your plans for the summer? Where are we going to see you out?
Mostly, I mean, we're going to run the full PPL circuit.
Okay.
Lily's going to do a bunch of driving this year. She started driving some last year, and I enjoy watching her and trying to get her, converted over from a 5,000 plus horsepower tractor that I think I would even be nervous to bend the throttle over on. But she made the transition pretty easy, and want to get her a lot more seat time and just try to guide her. I think she can do it. I mean, she was in it 3 times last year and had 2 seconds in it, I think. So she's very capable, and before long she's going to get a win. So we're going to do that, and we'll probably go run, a few Grand National hooks, Toma, Fort Recovery, Bowling Green for sure, probably. The other ones just don't really work out with my schedule this year, but work-wise and some things like that. We did that last year, and it was kind of a lot, to put our business and stuff in that position and stuff for me to be gone that much. So might even hit a few Ohio State pools too. Those are all close to me, and there's, 20 plus of those, so we can go about whatever we want.
Awesome. Well, on behalf of the Pullers Championship Planning Committee, thank you, Eric, for being there when we have big name pullers like yourself. It was fun seeing you and Lily get your interviews both nights, and we appreciate having you there, and we'll see you this summer.
Well, appreciate you having me on. Yeah, and thank you to you guys. I mean, you guys have made that show better and better every year, and I really appreciate you know, Brad's hospitality out there at Holzhauer's, I mean, he's got a heck of a facility, and you know, we may or may not like just driving around the parking lot and looking at all the expensive cars and trucks and stuff like that, and kind of daydreaming, and it's probably a good thing it didn't last longer than 2 days. So it was all
Understood.
good.
No, Brett, without Holzhauer, we have nothing down there. So he's a very, very awesome man. Very, very awesome man. So.
Yep. Congratulations to you guys too. Like I said, I mean, very smooth weekend. You know, there wasn't one hiccup on our end of it. I mean, it went very nice.
Well, we do it for you guys. We do it for the pullers. So.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Have a good night, buddy.
You too.
Thanks for coming on.
Okay, so old Simon was on like Eastern Standard. I had to be at my kids' ball game time. So he's in the back room. I want to talk a little smack before he can talk back. Okay, so this is good. I can see him smiling, so this makes me very happy right now. Yeah, he's flipping me off too. That's what I figured. Larry,
that's because he's a smart person. He's flipping you off. That's why. I'm sorry. Did I say that?
When Brandon and RJ Simon come to our event, it's huge for us. I mean, it means the world to us. And they're one of the ones that we always kind of like, hey, we'll let you know how Farman's going. And Paul stays really good contact with them. They brought 2 pro stocks. They brought the NTPA Grand National Champion, Brent Myers tractor. Lincoln Diesel Specialties. Brent owns Lincoln Diesel. And he wasn't unable to attend, but Brandon drove it, and he drove it to first place Friday night, first place Saturday night. And then obviously right there in the screen, there is RJ's new semi drivers wanted. And he said in his interview that they want drivers, but not to drive that. That one's his. I thought that was funny as hell. And then Mike, you wrote in one of your weekly blogs, This Week in Pulling, Mike writes a weekly article that we publish on Beer Money Pulling Team under blogs. And you talked about their mod as being the tractor to watch in all categories of all the thing. And Brandon did it again. I think, did we have 6 mods, Mike, both nights, or 5? I forget.
5. I think that because Leichner was a late ad, so maybe it was 6. Yeah.
So you talk about heavy hitters in that class, and Brandon did it again. And then to see their entire family with those 3, not just 1 big check, not 2 big checks, but 3 big checks from the Pullers Championships and Brad Holzhauer. So without further ado, RJ Simon. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
So before we get into Pullers Championship, let's talk about Farley, Iowa, June 7th and 8th, 300 Raceway. What do you got cooking there, RJ?
Yeah, we got a big pull up here. We got the Farley Nationals. We're going to have, this would be the 4th year, I believe, in a row we've had the pull here. And NTPA Grand National this year, it's going to be semis, obviously. We brought them on. That's a new ad this year. I'm not sure how they got me talked into it. I think I'm pretty sure they had to twist my arm a little bit. I think Greg Randall was begging me. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll do it, But
wasn't it last week we had Brandon and Victoria on, and Brandon was piping back and forth about they love coming to Farley, but they're not there this year. And then Brandon said, what's up with the dual Facebook page?
Yes.
There's always a joke there. A few years ago, Brandon put a picture of a dual seat motorcycle or something and sent it to those 2 and we're giving them a hard time and said, this is just like your Facebook page or something. And they go back and forth, but they're good friends. Brandon's a good friend of our families. And
No, absolutely.
Well, but we don't have the light supers this year, nothing like that. So that's why they're not coming. But going to have semis, pro stocks, super farms, 4-wheel drives, and 2-wheel drives, mods, and so 6 classes. Going to be action packed, starting at 6:30 on Friday night, June 7th, and 6 o'clock on June 8th. So on Saturday night, we got a great facility. It's there isn't a bad seat in the house. We're literally got our grandstands are up, kind of. I guess I'd say they're elevated. And you're looking down at the pulling track, and there's really it's not a bad seat in the house. If you follow us on Facebook on 300 Raceway, we're currently doing renovations. We're re-blacktopping in front of all the grandstands, behind the grandstands, basically everywhere all the fans will be in walking. It'll all be asphalt, fresh asphalt. It used to be some rock, some grass. and a little bit of asphalt, but it's going to be all asphalt there, and we're pretty excited about that. And then Jim Miller comes out and does our track. It's we've been voted 2023 we were Grand National Pole of the Year, 22 we were PPL Pole of the Year, and 21 we were ECI Pole of the Year. So we're going for 4 in a row here if we can. So
what do you guys do for camping there, RJ? I've had a couple people ask me.
All right, we got we do have full hookups, but those currently right now are all spoken for. It's sold out, our full hookup campsite. But we have primitive camping. It's actually right behind our shop, our Poland shop. We have primitive camping available, and it's free. We don't charge anything for it. You can come on out, bring your camper, generator, tent. I don't care what you camp in. You can park your car back there and sleep in the trunk. I don't care. So, but we got primitive camping for free back there. We just want this to be a good time. We got on site. We have an event center. Like I said, if you follow our Facebook page, 300 Raceway, we also have Saturday night. We got a band coming as well. So after the show on Saturday night, we hope to have a good time in the Milestone Event Center, which is literally right in front of the grandstands there, and air conditioned, and real nice big bar, and there'll be a few ice cold cocktails being served up there. So state of Iowa only lets us be open till 2, but
whatever happens.
But yeah, we'll be open right till 2. I can guarantee you that. But
I heard there were some bars in Nashville, Illinois that stayed open past bar time. That's what I heard.
Well, I'm a little nervous that my revenue is going to be down this year because I won't have the slaws in town. About the main route, I never put 2 and 2 together that taking them out would. So we're probably going to order a pallet of beer less now. So it's just something we should have thought about beforehand, but. Maybe next year we can get the mini rod guys back. We're just we'll see.
Here we go. Well, we got RJ, you're our last guest tonight, and I know you're not afraid to chatter with us for a while, so let's have some fun. Russ Dostal, he's a big Poland fan, says, RJ, I'm coming to Farley for the first time. What's something I need to do?
Well, it depends when you're coming, how early you're going to be there, Russell. But one thing that's kind of cool, the Field of Dreams is only 7 miles from Farley, right in Dyersville. So if you're into that, that's really neat. The movie site, it still looks like it did in the movie. It's kind of cool. And then the other thing is in Dyersville is like the National Farm Toy Museum and stuff like that's over in Dyersville. If you like there's I can't remember what it's called. It's like the antique mall and stuff like that. It's got it's literally right off the highway in Dyersville. Dyersville is just 7 miles away, and that's kind of cool. Like, it's got a lot of older farm toys in it. I mean, not just, it's got some current stuff, but then it's got a lot of the older steel.
Yeah, the Ertl is headquartered there, aren't they? The old Ertl style tractors.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that was headquarters for Ertl back when it was Ertl. Yep. So. And then Dyersville Diecast, which they've done some diecast toys and whatnot. So hotels around Farley. There is a couple in Dyersville, but they're smaller ones. Your best bet is Dubuque, which is only 15 minutes west of us, right off of 4-lane Highway 20, and they're in Dubuque. There's hotels on the east side of town, right when you come into town of Dubuque, and there's hotels all the way downtown. It's all about what atmosphere you want. If you go downtown, obviously there's, it's more downtown, probably a little more pricey, where if you stay up on the east side of town or the west side of town, closer to Farley, it's probably a little better. But I don't even know how many hotels are in Dubuque, but there's a pile of them.
If you fill up all the hotels in Dubuque, RJ's going to run out of seats. He'd like that a lot, but there's no problems.
Yeah, if we do that, I'll probably have enough to buy a diesel super, but
Jesus, here we go.
Until I matter, I'm looking into getting into do home loans, and then if I do, I'll be able to do it.
I love you, Simon. Tyler Slaw, I'm gonna miss you, RJ, next year. I'd like to take a moment of silence for Tyler and RJ. So He can still come out and watch, though, can he, RJ?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought. I mean, I thought he could come on and watch. I mean, it seemed. I mean, he can't pull his tractor here because his brakes are in the wrong location anyway.
Right.
I seen them this weekend.
But I mean, if he was a real friend, RJ, he'd just come and drink beer, wouldn't he?
Well, yeah, just to help out. Farmer Bruce will be sad to miss. No, he's still coming. He's still going to come, Tyler. So it's good. He's coming though at the end of August, early September. So he's going to come down to our race in the last weekend in August. In September, there we got $100,000 to win stock car race here on the racetrack. So
nice. Yes, Nicholas. RJ is one of the Simon Says drivers. He is a Simon Says-er. He's one of the OGs of that team. That's pretty cool. We're gonna have questions. If you have any questions for RJ Simon, we haven't dove into their awesome weekend at the Pullers Championship yet. We're talking about their NTPA Grand National Truck and Tractor Pull, Farley, Iowa, June 7th and 8th. 2 tracks. We got the poster up on the screen. Kenzie, you take down the poster, and then we'll show you their awesome grandstands. RJ was talking earlier about there is not a bad seat in the house, and that kind of gives you a real good spot overview there. So
that's the grandstands. I would say is a good 30 feet higher than where the pulling track's below it. You know, so you're elevated, so it doesn't matter really where you sit. You can see it's a great view. Yeah, exactly. So, and then there's sky boxes. There is still some available if you'd go on 300 Raceway. I think there's still a couple still available if you'd want a skybox. They've got air conditioning, and so somebody wants that.
What's a skybox cost you, and does that come with any sort of refreshments and accommodations, or what are the perks?
I kind of handle. I can't lie to you. I'm kind of handle the track and stuff like that. I'm not 100% sure on that. So I don't want to speak out of line. So my brother-in-law, Joe, does a great job handling kind of the front of the house and takes care of all the concessions and all the sky boxes and all that. And it's kind of a team effort. It's I got 2 brother-in-laws, Joe and Justin, and then me and Brandon. And it's it's pretty crazy. But yeah, the pits are open. The pits are open the whole time. So we kind of made it unique at Farley. The only hot pit is the whole racetrack. So like you can't come inside the racetrack without a hot pit armband. It seemed to be the best way. There's fence all the way around it. So none of the haulers park in the racetrack. So all the haulers will be outside and around the racetrack. So yeah, you can walk around all the haulers all day and night. So, and check them out, go talk to your favorite pullers before or after anytime. And I think that's kind of a cool thing that we do and allow. And we have a lot of fun. It's I've been told by a lot of people that it's a great track. One of the top ones, I'd say. And that's not just me saying it because I'm a little biased, but I mean, I've heard it from a lot of great pullers that have told me that, and it's meant a lot to us. So one other thing, Jim Miller comes out and does our track. So he'll be out there. I talked to him actually today. He was giving me some homework or what he wants done to it already now. So we plant like rye in it all winter long. So it's got a crop of rye on it to give it some nutrients and stuff. And we got that in there, and he was giving me a few pointers on what he'd like to see done. And he'll be here so the poll is until Thursday, and he'll already be here on Tuesday. So
awesome.
Or Friday. I mean, the poll is until Friday, and he'll be Tuesday already. So
awesome. Well, RJ, let's switch gears. Let's talk about your guys' fantastic weekend. I'm at the Pullers Championships down in Nashville, Illinois. Again, thank you to your entire family for coming down, rigging all your beautiful rigs, the 2 pro stocks, and as well as the semi truck and the mod and your 4-wheel drive truck as well. Somebody asked a question about the 4-wheel drive truck earlier, or did you find that, Kenzie? Yeah. But Mike, this is where I want you to take over and do your announce and stuff. Oh, what happened to the 4-wheel drive truck Friday night?
Friday night, it actually it burned a push rod and pivot ball, and we didn't have one with us. And we talked to a couple other pullers, and we actually think we could have made something work. Jim Bosch thought he might have had something, or he was pretty confident he did. But we just told ourselves, as a brand new engine, we're looking to run that truck possibly Grand National this year, and we didn't want to have that thing. We didn't want to hurt it, so we knew we made a good pass. We knew the truck ran good. That was the first pass I made in it in competition since it's been a mod, and so I wanted to, when I got asked to come down there, which was just last Tuesday night, I think late. It was
Thursday night.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember what night it was, but it was a late add-on, and we had it ready. And DJ Sullivan and his family, they worked their tails off on that truck. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said I was up there all the time working on it. DJ, Kyle, Larry, they put a lot of work into that thing. I mean, all winter long, they changed a lot of stuff, and we got a Sonny's engine from Larry and Lisa Peterson this year, and it made a heck of a run. It was fun. We were proud of it. We made an A to B run, and we just didn't want to rush to putting it back together maybe the wrong way and hurt an engine that was 100% fresh. So
that 4-wheel drive truck class was especially entertaining and neat to kind of assess and look at, because there were so many different styles of 4-wheel drive vehicles represented there. You know, the MLM pullers, everyone's incredibly happy and supportive of what they were able to accomplish by getting in with the fan vote. But, you know, they are undercubed. They don't typically pull at the Midwest. And you got Terry and Jim doing their thing with the mountain motors. And, you know, they've gone back and forth for a long time. But then the crowd has really latched onto this truck. Tell us the whole history. This is still an original metal body truck, and people think of your dad and they think of 2-wheel drives, but this is actually where it started, right? He had the 4-wheel drive, this one right here on the screen, before the 2-wheel drive. And talk to us about how it started, where it went, and how it came back.
So actually, that truck never left. Left my dad's hands. It was always there, and it's always been around. And it was for a long time when I was a young kid. It was in a storage unit that my family owned, stuffed in there. And then a few years later, there was a guy that wanted to buy it, and then didn't end up working out. My dad brought it back. He never did run it. It just sat in the barn, and then it got pushed into a few different sheds around here and buildings and whatnot. And when my dad passed, we had a celebration of life, and all the employees were like, we're going to get that truck all polished up, and it didn't have an engine in it or nothing. We're going to have it on display. That's the original. So we did that and had it sitting there, and DJ Sullivan and his family were there. Obviously they were close with my father, and DJ said, hey, that's not going back in that barn. I want that brought to my shop. And I was like, oh, what are you going to do? He goes, it's going to get running again. And he at the time happened to have a spare engine, so he had set it up for a super stock, and we ran it 2 years with ECI and a little bit of Tri-State as a super stock. And they won 2 championships with ECI with it. And then last winter, I was on checking on Facebook Marketplace and happened to see a nice Sonny's Hemi there. And I was like, oh man, wouldn't this be cool? So of course, me buying and selling. So I thought, well, what the heck? So I bought a Sonny's engine out of Pennsylvania and brought it home, and we threw it in there and made it. That thing Mark Mangan helped set a few tuning things on the fuel system literally the Friday of Farley, and they made it over here like 5 o'clock for Friday night at Farley last year, and DJ drove it both times here at Farley, and then we ran it a few times last year, and it was a fun time. And I thought, well, I'm going to try driving it at Rockwell last year, and I tried driving it, and Rockwell last year had a wicked hill on it. They put a ramp at the starting line, and it was way too aggressive. I mean, a little hill at the starting line is always great, but if you get it too aggressive, it does the wrong thing. I mean, the sleds were actually holding their brakes. So long story short, I couldn't get it. It started bouncing, and I ended up dropping the drive shaft. So, and then I was kind of disgusted with myself. So then I kind of just took a step back away from it for the rest of the year. And then yeah, we drove it down there, and I was happy that I made an ADB pass, and I'm hoping I can make her to Benson and see what I can do down there with it.
So will you, it seemed like there for a while, you and your brother were all kind of driving a little bit of everything. Have your roles kind of fallen in, and we'll expect to see you in the semi and in the 4-wheel drive, and brother Brandon will be in the pro stock and the mod for the majority of the year? Or will we kind of bounce around a little bit depending on who wants to drive what and what the opportunities look like?
Well, there's going to be some changes going on. So we're going to run the mod on the Pro Pulling League and NTPA side. So we're going to be, there's a couple times where we got to split. So Brett and myself, there'll probably be a couple pulls where we might take the pros. Chapel Hill will be one of them and Brandon might go to Henry, or I might go to Henry with the mod, and Brandon will go with the pros down there in 4-wheel drive. We haven't really made all the decisions. I personally can watch my brother drive all the vehicles, and I have just as much thrill watching him win. I get super excited as I do when I win. So it's to each their own, but I'm sure I'll let Brandon drive that semi at some point this year, just because, he's let me drive the pro stocks. And then we're hoping that we can debut a new pro stock later in the season, come out, and maybe even 2 of them. We've been working hard on a couple of those, and hopefully they'll get done.
So you mentioned the mod, and I think
Mike, did you hear what he just said?
Mike doesn't listen as much as he talks.
Mike, he said they're bringing out 2 new pro stocks.
Well, not just us. I mean, Brent's going to have one, and then one will be ours. So,
Mike, grab this. This is breaking news. This is not breaking news.
This has been in the work for years. We've talked about this. You know this.
I know, but it's fun to pretend that
Jason just gets forgetful. He can't. Jason, do you even remember what you had for breakfast?
What's today?
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah, okay. No, I just like to. I feel like this was debuted on the Let's Grow Pulling podcast and not the No Practice podcast, and I just want to rub that.
It was debuted on the No Practice podcast.
And you feel like Mike totally spaced it, right?
Man,
you're missing it, Jason.
I just got bus chucked on my own podcast. I'm gonna throw myself in front of the bus here. Just
there you go.
That's for me. I appreciate that. Okay, all right. Back to Mike and RJ.
We need an interruption tally for Jason.
Mike, back to you, sir.
When I pull my mic down, it mutes me. I pulled my mic down and it muted me. So tell us about the pro stocks.
You don't have to, RJ. It's okay.
We're just working on some new. We've had one. Blackburns are building one new one for us, and that's been in the works for a while, and that's going to be something all new with the Blackburn family, and it's going to be something pretty special. And I mean, everyone knows about it. We've talked about it, and it's they've been working real hard on it up there. And Josh is he knows how to fabricate things and make things on the computer, and it's coming together very nice, and it's impressive. It's a full custom built Blackburn chassis, everything. It's still going to have it's probably going to have some red sheet metal on it, but it's probably going to have a green heartbeat. I can't lie to you. So,
where can we expect to see that first?
I don't know. It should be out. It's hard to tell. You never know. It depends how the workload is for everybody, and the season's just getting started. So it just depends on how everything else stays together. It's hard to say. So you can't say when it'll be coming out, because it's hard to tell. That when you're building things that are custom one-off and everything's built handmade, and it's not something where you can really. It's hard to put a timeline on it.
But you are anticipating at some point during this pulling season?
We'd like to have it out by the end of the year, so there's a chance that maybe we could get it into Louisville. It'd be nice. So
That's awesome. Yeah, that'll be something the world wants to see. So now I'm afraid to bring up the mod. Jason, should we talk about the mod?
Yeah, we can talk about the mod now.
Oh, I'm obsessed with the mod right now. I just feel like I keep saying 2023 felt like it was the year of the River Rat Pro Stock. You know, every class has its go-to vehicles, but then there's like one vehicle for the entire year that kind of stands out. And 2023 was River Rat. It feels like 2024 is going to be the year of the Simon Says modified. You guys are 5 wins straight. You're 5 for 5 to start off 2024. Dan and I were talking in the booth. That might go back to 7 wins in a row, actually, to cap off your regular season last year. What's so special about that mod? And just tell us why that thing is kind of unbeatable right now.
Oh, I don't know. It's just the combination just works. I mean, Chad's cut us some special tires on that thing the end of last year, and that's really helped us out a lot. And he's really helped us out a lot. We're kind of wondering if we should cut him now. It's got 7 runs on him since he's cut him last, so we're wondering if we should touch him up or not. It's kind of a toss up, but it's working, so maybe we should just leave him alone. So, but it's just the combination's happy. You know, we bought that tractor from Keith and Ricky Long, and they kind of gave us their playbook, and they had great success with that tractor, and they gave us their playbook, and they helped us out tremendously. Well, we went ahead and took to what we felt, and what we kind of took what we felt was the best parts and put them on to this tractor. So we took, those are actually the engines off of Keith's tractor and the blowers off of Ricky's, and we put them onto this tractor. So you know, some would be like, well, why'd you mess with that? Because, you know, Ricky just came off of a, you know, PPO championship that year. And, but that was also the year where all the rules were changing with the overdrive and whatnot. So it was, so things were changing. So then we sent the blowers to Mike Janis, had him totally revamp them and do a lot of changes. He's always helped us out a little bit. We got those tuned up. Adam Kester helped us with the engines. We got them all kind of dialed in. And then the guys in the shop here, I mean, Brad Walkup, Steve Olson, now Mike Mullins. I mean, we got a heck of a crew here, and you know, they work hard on this thing, and I think a lot of it just has to do with the prep. You know, we put into it during the week and the weeks leading up to it. It's not just at the track. It's just we spend a lot of time to make sure it's, you know, ready to go before we leave.
The first couple of pulls this season, it's been interesting to watch. I'm talking about the modified class. So at the National Farm Machinery Show, then at the Truck Show, then at the Pullers Championship, it was almost the same group at each of those. It's almost like there's kind of a niche there that's running with Cameron Neves coming up from Texas and all of them. The Owens is coming down from New York, and Leichner's been at just about all of them. Is that kind of turning into like a tight click group where you guys are, you know, I don't want to say a rivalry, but you know, it's almost like you're running against each other again and again and again. And is that kind of getting a theme there where you guys see each other, like something special at these championship pulls, or are those the guys that you always hang out with anyway?
I mean, we just love pulling. I mean, you go back to Larry could tell you stories about me when I was a young kid. And I mean, I've been around this my whole life. So is Brandon, and we grew up in the pits. I mean, we were in the pits before we were supposed to be in the pits. Larry can attest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's all we know what to do is pull it. I mean, it's what we do. We just love doing it. Our dad, you know, when we started driving and everything, you know, if we get second, he'd tell us right out that was the first loser. I mean, we come there to win. I mean, we want to win, and it's just all about teamwork and just hard work. And we don't go there because who we're pulling against. I don't look at who we're pulling against. We just go to have fun. This weekend we were done farming, and I've never personally been down to Nashville. That's my first year. Brandon's went there now. I think this was his second or third year. I don't remember, but he's always went down there, but I've always usually stayed back or had something going on. And I went down there, and wow, I'm very impressed. Great facility, nice people, you know. Paul was up there late, and Brett Yarn were up late on Friday night trying to help me work on my computer on my semi, trying to get my data logger to work. And they couldn't get it because I think Paul and Brett both had too many cocktails by that point. So Brett's nerdiness was gone by that point. So, and
that's great.
And but they ended up Saturday morning. They helped me get it fixed, and it was pretty awesome. But just everyone helps out everyone at that place, and it was just Brad, just a great Brett Holzart. I mean, what he's doing for this is just awesome. I gave some pointers to how to make it even bigger for you to Brent, and I got some good ideas that we can do to even make it better. And I think it's just something that's just going to keep growing and be, years from now, we're just going to look back at this and say, wow, look what it was and what it is now. And I remember when them bleachers were a quarter of that size. And yeah, because I know Brad ain't going to have a problem putting up more bleachers and doing anything like that. So it's
no chance. RJ, he was already talking about it Saturday night. So
yeah, it's just impressive. I mean, he reminds me so much of our event. We stick so much into it, and we just love pulling and entertaining people like this, and it's a blast, and that's why we started having the pull here in Farley too. Is same thing. We drive all over the country just like Brad's team does and go pulling. So why not have one in our backyard? What the hell, right? And we're kind of just like the 618 guys. Our shop is right connected to our pulling venues, so we don't load up our stuff. We just drag it right over there, kind of just like that. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Larry,
yeah.
Larry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What does the Simon family mean to pulling?
Oh, well, I've known Roger Simon and watched RJ and Brandon grow up my whole pulling career. And Roger's always been a driving force. And after he passed, I think the next season when the boys were running as hard as they do now, only just a little bit different level, they hadn't started being brokers of pulling vehicles yet. Anyway, I told them both, I said, your daddy be proud of you. And I know he is, and they've taken it to the next level. But Roger was always on the cutting edge, and you had to watch him because God knows he'd sneak something in there, and kick their ass. And then you had to figure out, is that okay or not? And 9 times out of 10 it was. But RJ, like you said, I watched them grow up in the pits, and they may have been out in the hot area when they shouldn't have been, but they were never trouble, and they were always helping their dad. They wasn't the kids that run around and cause havoc. They were the kids that were helping their dad. And no, I have to admit, just like I talked about the Theobald family, watching them grow up, watch the Simon boys grow up too in the sport. And it's just, we've talked that old sentimental fart Larry Richwine more than once, but to watch these guys grow up and now their kids are involved, and that picture with the 3 big checks and your mom was there too, RJ. And it just does my whole heart good. But it truly is a family oriented sport. And I'm truly proud to say anybody's family could come, even if they're not motorsports people, they'll appreciate the fact that there's families in it. And if they've got any maternal instincts at all, they'll understand what it means. Is that
RJ,
fair,
what was the best advice your dad ever gave you, be it pulling related or life related, him being the legend and the leader in the sport that he always was?
Oh, geez, I don't know. We've learned so many life lessons from him. It's hard it'd be about impossible for me to pick one, to be honest with you, Mike. I mean, he's taught us everything in business. I mean, all the hustling I do with buying and selling things, I mean, that all came from him. I mean, he did that same thing. We hustled and did that. And, I mean, this work ethic, I mean, we got all that. I mean, there's so many things I couldn't even think of just one. I mean, he's literally everything we know was from him. I mean, it just, he put, pulling, I still have, there's a screwdriver that's always with me. If you ever see me on the track, I usually have a screwdriver in my pocket, and that's still my dad's screwdriver that my dad poked the track with. Literally, it's a flathead screwdriver that literally looks like it's shined up so much, it's just crazy, and there ain't an edge on it. It was his. I still use that to poker track with and checker track, and everyone comes out with their fifth wheel pullers and pokes on it. I bend over and still poke it with his screwdriver. I remember poking it with a screwdriver next to him when I was, almost 30 years ago. So same screwdriver. So yeah. So I don't know. Pulling's just fun for us, having a blast. The semi is a new venture, obviously. That was different.
Is it one of your favorite? You talk a lot about you're completely fine and comfortable just watching your brother drive, and he kind of seems like he has this driving style where he can't wait to get in there and just wants to be behind the wheel. But the semi, is that kind of a hand in a glove? Is that your new preference? Is that your personal new favorite thing to drive?
It was a blast, but my brothers, we got a saying in the shop. Brandon made this saying up. He goes, if I can get if they had a pulling with toolboxes and I can get the toolbox to get first place, I'd love it just as long as I get first. So at the same when you get first place, if you get first place, it's fun no matter what you're wheeling. Let's face it. It don't matter if it's a 4-wheel drive, a 2-wheel drive. I mean, any class it is, it's fun when you're winning. The semi was a lot of fun. And it's kind of my forte. Obviously, I'm in the trucking business. Mm-hmm. Brandon's in the farming side of things more. So the tractors are kind of more his. So it was only, obviously, when we got the semi, it was kind of just second nature that I was going to run it. And so that's one thing that's different. So a lot of people don't know. So that truck was built by Jack Kilmeyer. That chassis and everything was built for Dean by Jack. And when Jack built it, it's got the clutch pedal's on the right. So you use your right leg to run the clutch. So that's definitely backwards to anything, obviously, you run in your life with a clutch.
And you haven't changed that at all?
Oh, it was just like that. So just rock and roll there, It's just,
not superstitious to jinx it and change it. I can understand that.
No, it's really not. Honestly, it's really not. Like I jumped out of the 4-wheel drive on Friday night, and I was and it was 3 or 4 trucks later. I was in the semi, and I mean, the 4-wheel drive has a left-hand clutch. I mean, it was just it worked. It didn't bother me. I didn't think about it and wonder, oh my, how am I going to do this? It just it didn't bother me. I mean, it really didn't. It's just weird. Like people look at it or open the door and they're like, what's that on the left? Oh, that's the brake pedal. Well, what's on the right? That's the clutch. I was like, it's kind of like Jason Schultz, always backwards.
Yeah, that's another one for RJ. Jason, you always want to know a fun story. One time, oh my gosh, it had to be in the mid-90s.
You had that ready, didn't you, Jason? Tonight.
The mid-90s, Jason. We're going across country, going to New Hampshire to pull the end of the NTPA circuit. And so I'm probably running 70, 75 on the interstate, Linda and I was, and all of a sudden I see the marker lights. I mean, this is middle of the night when I used to drive all night, and I see the marker lights coming and goes by me, Simon semi. So I get on the radio and I say, RJ, are you in a hurry? No, I just got the cruise set. And so we were all going to Gardner Stone's to park in his parking lot overnight. And so I got there several hours later, and I'm thinking he had to be going 100 mile an hour plus anyway. And he was, I'm sure. And so it's already parked there. Everybody else is asleep. Here comes Linda and I, in the old motor home. And so I walked up, reached up over the front wheel to feel the side of the block on this engine in the semi. And it was warm, but by no means had it been running for 2 or 3 hours. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ. And so the next morning, everybody gets up, of course, I still wake up milking time. And so Steve Olson's out there and it's sitting there warming up going, and he goes, yeah, that's the one we used to race or pull or whatever it was doing. You remember that truck, RJ. And
the cab over, yep.
Yeah. And I said, my God. And he goes, well, we probably was going 100 or so. But my God, they were flying when they went past me. I just like, wow. So I got on the radio and I said, "Are you in a hurry, Roger?" "No, I'm not really in a hurry."
Yeah, I pulled the pulling trailer up to Toma last year with that thing. The cab over.
Oh, did you?
Yep. I brought it up there with that, drove it up to Toma and pulled it up there. It was kind of cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah, but no, I will never forget that. And yeah, Steve says, "Well, that's that's the one," but it was flying.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, Larry, we always ask what people, what the Simons mean. RJ, tell us some good Larry Richwine stories over the years.
Oh gosh. Oh.
Most of them ain't PG.
There you go.
This is a family show.
It's after not. It's 10 o'clock. We can. It's pretty much.
You see, Jason. Most of the pullers, they respect me enough not to try to embarrass me or make me look like an old crazy sick man.
There's a lot of good times. I mean, Larry's done a lot for the sport. He's worked his butt off, and it's very impressive what he's done, and it's exciting what he's doing. He's coming on with this new venture. It's impressive, and we look forward to working with him this year on the mod. And it's he knows what he's doing. It ain't his first rodeo, and it's just it's when something's run by him, you can always tell it's ran well, and there's no bullshit, and he'll tell you right how it is, and he don't care if you like it or not. He's gonna tell you, and sometimes I didn't like it a few times, and he's just like, "It is what it is, bud. We're gonna reset it on you. It's too bad, too sad," and I wouldn't like it too well, but he always knew when to leave me alone. I used to be a little more hot-headed. He'd always just. But
well, I appreciate the kind words, RJ, but my biggest thing was I try to treat everybody the same. I honestly had no favors. And you seen that Greg come up there a minute ago, said he'd see me tomorrow. I'm going to attend the Blue Shirts monthly meeting. I actually am going to be a probationary Blue Shirt member as of 6:30 tomorrow evening.
Yeah, probation is a good word to describe you, Larry.
Yeah, you damn straight it is. And I didn't wear a blue shirt on that reason tonight, but they asked me and campaigned a little bit, and so I will be a rookie entry-level blue shirt tomorrow evening, providing they go through with it and accept me. So I don't know, but no, RJ, I appreciate the kind words. Do what?
Like the mafia, Larry. Kind of like the mafia. You got to be a made man. The
mafia people are in the loan business. I'm just saying, them guys bring you that briefcase full of, them guys.
Yeah.
Man.
It's impressive everything that Larry's done over the years with all these pulls. And I mean, you got to remember too, the sacrifices he's missed a lot of things as kids growing up and everything, so he could be out on the road. And he was gone all summer long. And so it's impressive. I'd hate to know the hours and time spent in the entry trailer with him, but I'm sure it's crazy, and you can only, that's why pulling is what it is today, and it's Larry's helped mold it. So
there's a picture out here on the shop wall. Robert, my son, was made an exhibition pass, a couple of garden tractors back when they tried to get the National Garden Tractor Pulling Association together. And Bob made an exhibition pass at Toma. And there's a picture of RJ, which is a couple years older, I think, or more than Robert, and giving him a high five as he came off the track. And that picture hangs out here in my shop. And like I say, I took my kids with me. Linda did entries, and we raised our kids on the road a long time. And then as everybody grew up, I kept going down the road, and I didn't miss too much, RJ. I missed some of the things. I only get to see maybe one or two baseball games of my grandchild that plays, Parker. But other than that, no, I wouldn't trade any of it for the world. I got to be a part of a really, really good sport. But I appreciate the kind words, RJ.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you.
Jason, how do we luck out to get Jason so quiet tonight? I mean, it's just.
Well, he's muted. That just proves there is a God. And And
I
God
feel
is
that,
good.
I
God
feel
is
that-
good, and the stars aligned, and I'm going to talk right over Jason because he's not muted. And but no, you know, I hate to do the Biden lean-in thing and talk real quiet. But anyway,
No, I
No,
like
I'm
to
not
RJ.
I'm not going to
I
touch
pay
anybody.
Mike and I pay Mike and Larry a lot of money to be on the podcast. I want to give them their time. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, I appreciate you today too, Venmoing me that extra little bit to come on this. But I told you when you tried getting me for half price today and wanted me at 8:00, and I said no, and then you tripled the price to get me at 9:20. I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. So that's how. Just so you know, guys, that's how you negotiate with Jason. He's
yeah. Well, I wasn't going to be on at all, and he said all he had was Mike, and he really didn't want to do it himself, and he knew that Mike would talk more than anybody, and I've actually been pretty quiet tonight. You'll have to admit, Jason, I've been sitting here listening, but when you told me you had RJ coming on and Renee and Grant, I mean, you know, kids I watched grow up. They're not kids, they're men and women, but nevertheless, I thought, well, I don't really want to go on tonight, but I had to do it then because even though I knew Mike would need help, I didn't realize Kenzie would be told about 10 times now to move over away from the screen. They can't see it. God, what a pain in the butt to work for. I'm sorry. Do you pay her more than you pay Mike and I?
yeah.
Good.
She's a full timer. She's a full timer.
Good. All right. Well, I'm
That's
an
where-
old timer.
that's where you're supposed to jump in and say, "What? You're getting paid?" Play.
I love it.
I think we've
RJ,
had a pretty good show
Yeah.
tonight, don't you think we've had?
yeah, this was RJ, to have your family, you and your brother and everybody down at the Pullers Championship. It's becoming what our dream was, and we're excited to have you helping with us. I was with your ideas, and I've been told you might even be joining our planning committee. That's what Yaron told me, so I'm excited for that.
Cool.
Yeah, whatever you need. I wanna help you make it bigger, and I got some good ideas, and I think it could take it to the next level. I mean, there's a lot of things out there that I've seen in the racing side, helping promote these races that could come full circle into this, and it's just exciting. It was a good time. We had good sled settings. The Bungart, a big thank you needs to go out to the Bungart crew.
Yes.
Brandon, I mean, they did a great job. They worked their tails off on them sleds and all the time, and they're impressive. Obviously we're in Iowa. And, Vaughn and Big and them are real close to us and good friends of ours. But Brandon's sleds are top notch. I'm very impressed with him, and hats off to him and all his hard work he put into being there. So.
Yeah,
Mike-
almost 200 hooks over 2 sessions and 1 sled reset. 22 classes, almost 200 hooks on only 1 time, and I think that was even after the initial test hook. So yeah, they were money. I mean, they were MVPs this weekend.
Well, we're very fortunate in the sport today to have all these vehicles that are putting out 10 times the horsepower they were 20 years ago. Nobody talks about how fortunate we are to have the machines built, Vaughn and Brandon and those have built to stop us. I mean, think about the power they're putting to the ground compared to what it was, and to be able to go that fast and then bang, get you and stop you. So we're very fortunate. There are a lot of top level sleds in the country, but between the Bowers and the Baumgarts, those are probably the 2 top manufacturers and operators in the country. So it's we're fortunate to have those kind of people helping us put on the shows that we're putting on for the people.
Yeah,
Mike, you're a super pulling fan, Mike. What are your early Simon memories?
Would have been about, well, you tell people, Jason, that someone sat you in the seat of their vehicle when you were a kid, and that's why you went and bought the diesel super stock, right? Or your story, something like that. I was a young kid, maybe 92, 93, just old enough to, I guess, be a little older, 93, 94, somewhere in there, just old enough to start having memories. And my dad took me to the Show Me Showdown in Macon, Missouri, and or at least I would assume that's where we were. And I got to sit in the seat of the Simon Says 2-wheel drive truck. And that was kind of one of those that absolutely, when you're a kid, my son's just old enough to start doing it. I took my son down to Boonville and we set him in Terry Hagedorn's truck. and he's in heaven. That's all he talks about now. And I can actually remember this sitting in the seat as a little kiddo, and the Simon Says Dodge. And it's one of those that sticks with you, and it's one of the reasons that you become a super fan. So my Simon Says memory kind of starts right there, and then it just becomes one of those that you see it every single time. You see it in pictures of the Pullers magazine, and you just say, I want to be around that someday. Sure. So that's kind of one of the things that lit my fire as a young kid, was started right there with Roger Simon and the Simon Says.
That's how we hook you, man. That's how we hook you.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, it was cool the other night. I had pulled off Saturday night. We pulled off the track, and with that semi, and we went to the winner's circle. And I came back. There was a kid that wanted to sit in and take a picture, so I sat him up in there and shut the door. And he handed me his phone and took a picture. And I shut the door, and because you could barely see over the steering wheel, but I held it up high enough he could see it. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to send this to my mom right now. She'll never believe me." And it was, it's just cool. It's a humble experience. And then I remember, I think it was Saturday night, Brandon had a kid sitting in the mod, so yeah, I mean, obviously they both asked, which was nice, but I don't have a problem with it then, I like when they ask, polite about it. And I like to help them, because they are kind of tricky getting up and on, and don't want them to fall and get hurt. And it's, that's what it's all about. And that's what one thing about the sport is, it's family oriented, and you can come on out. So, June 7th and 8th, you can come to Farley and sit in all the vehicles you want, and it'll be a good time, and guaranteed that it'll be fun. And or you can go to the live stream probably and listen to Jason Schultz, but that'd be boring. So I would definitely
shout out to fullpull.live. Shout out to fullpull.live.
Yeah. And, but like I said, who would want to do that? I mean, Dan Mayer would be my announcer if you come live. I mean, honestly, if you can pick between Dan Mayer and Jason Schultz, I mean, no offense to Jason. I mean,
it's Dan Mayer every day. Forget the word Jason.
I say this with all due respect, but I mean, which one would you rather listen to? Let's be honest.
Dan Mayer.
You can't be mad at me because I said with all due respect. See?
Nope, I'm not mad at all. I'm not mad at all. Dan's doing Fort Recovery. Dan's doing 2 or 3 full pull lives this year. We're gonna have 3 announcers at every one, 2 in the trailer, 1 on the track, and we got a group of 6 or 7 of us: Jeremy Krieger, Phil Kelly, Bert Forbes, Chase Steinman, Chuck Hobbs. Got a pretty good gang of us this summer. I'm excited to. But yeah, we'd love to have Dan at every event, but he already had some prior commitments. So.
No, you're all good. I'm just giving you a hard time more than anything.
No, it's true.
But yeah, no. June 7th and 8th though, Farley. Don't forget that, fans. Come on out. It's going to be a good time. Farley never disappoints. So.
No, it does not. RJ, thank you to you and Brandon again. Appreciate you coming down, and we'll see you in a couple weeks, buddy.
Hey, thank you guys. Have a great night.
Yep. See you later, RJ.
Thank you, sir.
RJ Simon, an hour late for his Let's Grow Pulling podcast.
But
they're building a pro stock.
Yes. And he done an excellent job making Mike have not too much time to talk. I didn't say I was going to. I thought of it when RJ was on. I mean, other than Mike, who is still starstruck and had gone from super fan to announcer, and I know Jason. Nobody promotes the sport more than you do. I hate to suck ass like that, but that's true. But bottom line is, the RJs, the Simons, the Theobalds, and myself. We've lived it so much, so long, we actually take it for granted to a little bit of a degree until we get a fan that comes up, like he was talking the kid that wanted to sit in the truck, or like Mike was talking, he sat in Roger's truck. And then you realize what we're doing is so awesome to the general public, and the sport we're involved with is just amazing. I mean, I can remember at a PRI show in Orlando when we had when we had Uncle Sam tractor there with 5 on it, and Ron Capps was walking through the PRI show, Ron Capps of Drag Race, and he goes by and he goes, "Wow, 5 engines." And of course, he's standing there, and he goes, "Can I sit in the seat?" And you should have seen Mr. Elite Trailers puff up He goes, well, hell yes, let me help you in there. But Ron Cap sat in the seat of a 5-engine mod and was just starstruck, amazed at all that power, and got taking pictures in the seat too. So it goes to show that it may be old hat to some of us, but we lose the enthusiasm maybe that Michael still has. And I give you a lot of hell, Mike, but that's great. We need that enthusiasm. But yeah, when it's just amazing what these tractors are capable of and the engineering involved to make them work. To me, that's the biggest thing, is the marvel of the engineering. And I'm just very pleased to be a part of it. Very thankful.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, right, Larry. And I hope that's something that, no matter where this leads, that we all feel that way always, just always happy to be a part of it. And I don't know that I'll ever not be starstruck, because every time I walk out there and you walk around and you say, that's RJ, that's Renee, that's, so that's, I don't know that I'll ever get over that.
Well, I hope you don't. And I'm not saying that I did get over it.
Right.
I mean, there's still times when I'll ride around in a golf cart after the show and think, damn, I'm a part of this. And then I start smelling for who's got the freshest cheeseburgers cooking on the grill. Anyway, but no, it's truly, we're blessed. And even with Jason involved, it's still fun. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
No, you don't apologize. I don't want to apologize.
No homo, but I'm done sucking up. Okay.
It's all good. Larry, that's a good question for everybody. We're going to wrap this up in a little bit, and then we're going to show our Friday night winter video that we have posted on our YouTube page. Who does have some of the best food at their trailer, Larry, of all time that you like to go to? What's your go-to, Larry?
All I know is that Caesar Kester, and she's great for breakfast. And then the entire Richardson crew, they bring a cook with them and cooks all their meals. And a few years ago, it was always anywhere close to lock and load tractors. I'm pretty sure that Petersons were in charge of the beer, because nobody's watched the sun come up more than the Peterson Profab people. And but now it's there's a lot of different groups, and it depends on what you want to eat. I mean, I've been places where they were boiling shrimp, and it's it's amazing. But there's always good food in the pits, and I'm usually tired, and the concession stands are closed, so I'll drive around and hey, Larry, you want a oh no, I don't want one. And then go right in there and eat a burger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, on the Western Series PPL, Bausmas, Stephen.
Oh yeah. They're tremendous cooks. Yes, I agree. They were down at the Satsuma Pool in Florida, and they said, "Come on over and eat." And I drove by there, but somebody else had already handed me a burger, and I was thinking, but I wanted to go, but I didn't. Yeah. But no, it's a big family atmosphere, and anybody that's a spectator, if they come out early, they walk through the pits, and it won't be disappointing, I can assure you.
Nice. Larry, where are we going to see you next?
My next event on 31st of May and June 1st, I'll be in Beloit, Kansas at a Nebraska bush pullers event. Western Series, part of Clint Tucker's deal, Western Series. That'll be the last Pro Pulling League Tech School on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock at that ground at that event. Got some out there that haven't got certified yet, and I'll be going out and attending that event. And I'll be at Shipshewana. Jonathan and I are going to Shipshewana, and Christy and some of the rest of them are going on up to Mackville. But here in about a week, it's going to be bam, bam, bam somewhere every week. But I don't know any better. It's all I've done my whole life, and I hope I do it. And they've had strict instructions at NTPA, and now I'm pretty sure we can carry it on to PPL that if Larry keels over of a heart attack, roll him out of the way and bring another tractor to the track. Let's go. Seriously. The joke is there's a couple officials that work both PPL and NTPA, and this past week I heard it. They said, yeah, well, Larry's here, so all they'll say is, I don't care who's not up here. I don't care what the lineup says. Bring me a damn tractor. And I always get on the radio and tell the tower, I'll let you know who's up here, but we're not stopping, and just keep going, It's one thing, and I wasn't running the show by any means this weekend, but one thing that always bothered me is dead air and no action on the track, especially when you have two of them. Just bring me a tractor. Come on, let's go, and we'll figure out the lineup later. But no, the strict instructions was if Larry keels over a trackside, roll him out of the way and bring another tractor.
The pace this weekend was fast. They were, especially at the 85s and the 95s, the first couple classes each night. I mean, it was, your head was on a swivel. Whoever was bringing those forward was getting them up there locked and loaded efficiently.
Somebody, I've got a couple, I actually met a few TikTok friends because, that's what the pandemic did for Larry Richwine, put 30 more pounds he didn't need and get me addicted to TikTok. But I met a couple of them come up to me in front of the Coltrane energy drink stand where I was going over to get a free one. Because anyway, and me and the one dog, the black German Shepherd named Maze, have started a series we did at Thanksgiving, Christmas, and we'd say, and today on Watering the Horses with Maze, and I didn't pay attention, and I don't have that many followers, but somebody walked by me and they said, and today on Watering the Horses with Maze, and I go, what turn? I didn't realize it. But yeah, so I guess I either need to do more or quit doing the ones I'm doing. But no, one thing is I love people, and I love for the fans that come up and ask questions because, as you know, I like explaining and sharing what I know with others. And once again, all I can say is I'm very blessed to do what I've done and still be involved the level I am. I'm really, really happy.
I love watching a video with the full grandstands. That makes me so happy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Michael, where will we see Mike Eichel next?
June 7th and 8th at Ravenna, Nebraska, the debut event for the Thunder in the Dirt series, the Thunder in the Dirt National Pulling Series for the Outlaw Truck and Tractor Pullers Association. I'll be headed out there to be on the microphone with my good buddy and mentor, Mr. Ron Stone. And then it's bam, 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 all the way till September.
Yep.
I would say every weekend, but we in the Outlaws, it's every week. There's a lot of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays. It's rocking and rolling. And Larry talked about me being enthusiastic. I cannot wait. Like I am sitting on strings right here. I cannot wait to get this season rolling.
That's great. I mean, starting like
Larry.
After Door, Michigan, I've got 5 events in 6 days. I got to announce 4 of those are NTPA events. That was part of the deal when I went to work for Pro Pulling League. They said any commitments you had prior to that, if you want to work them, we don't have a problem with it. So I'm going to actually be announcing 5 or 6 NTPA events besides Sandwich that I did in the past and still wanted me to do it. So, but no, it's just I hope you never lose that enthusiasm, Michael.
Well, thank you, Larry. I appreciate that. That's
it's good.
Just happy to be here, man. I'm just happy to be here.
I know. And then there's Jason
right?
Schultz. I don't know what Jason Schultz interest rate is, but then there's Jason Schultz.
So Paula Dentelman chiming in and says that was her grandson that had his picture taken, and the Simon Says modified that, and that made his night. Even got a blower belt of the tractor. That cool. Kid will never not love pulling. I can promise you that. That is, you've just created a lifelong fan.
Yeah, that's a lifelong fan. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Talk about another dominant performance right now.
Yeah, well, George Byard can just flat drive a 4-1 limited pro. George is a stud, and Ken did drive Saturday night. We there was some debate as to whether or not we had on our sheets that said Sydney was driving, but you always know it's Sydney with the bright pink helmet. And I looked down there and didn't see the bright pink helmet, and so I surmised that maybe it wasn't her, and got a text from some of my outlaw buddies that said, nope, that's definitely Ken driving. So Ken got to come play a little bit too.
Rumor is Ken's getting a pink helmet just to trick you, Mike.
That's what his daughter told me on Saturday night. Yeah.
So but the helmet was black, so it wasn't, until the trick is tricked, then we know who's who.
Larry,
Savannah, what? Larry, are you going to give our last? I always butcher his name. I'm sorry. But I always apologize as I butcher a person's name.
Exclusacek is what I've been saying lately.
I'm sure that's much better than what I said.
They came on my show a while ago, and they spelled it out like S space clue, like the board game. And then I forget the rest part because I'm not very good at paying attention. But
I know you're a school teacher, but obviously not an English teacher. So would that be phonetically?
Oh,
something like that. So,
Okay.
I made a grammar. So I was working this weekend up in the booth, and I said something, blah, blah, blah. I'm an English teacher, and I made a grammatical error, not very much longer. And the lady looks at me and she goes, "I thought you were an English teacher." And I reminded her, and you need to know this too, Larry. I said I'm an English teacher. I never said I was a good English teacher. You know, I teach in the publicly funded state of Missouri. You get what you pay for in this state, and that's Mike Idle teaching the youth of America.
I had an algebra teacher in junior high that said no can have uncommon denominators. and so I told the English teacher about it, and I guess in the teacher's lounge she confronted my algebra teacher. And so the next day or two, the algebra teacher goes, "Richwine, so you're telling on me about my not good grammar?" And I said, "No can have bad grammar." Anyway.
Oh man.
Anyway,
I love
somebody said there was only announcer to get it right was a WTPA announcer. Is that what it said?
Yeah. He's so good.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I've listened to him. He's a great announcer. Great. He has so much energy like Mike, and he's a great voice.
Well,
great pipes.
Like I've told you many times, Jason, I'm not an announcer. I talk to people and try to share my knowledge a little bit and give it a little levity, a little humor.
Yep. I love that. I just love.
We go way over. Do we pay for overtime on the air? What?
We're time and a half. We're on time and a half now, Larry. That's why you and I keep talking.
It's like working on Sundays. It's like working on Sundays, guys. So.
Speaking of that, next Monday I probably won't be on because the Indy 500, which is 12 miles from my house, I probably won't be helping, but I could go up and help pick up the trash on Monday because they'll have hundreds of loads of trash in the infield. But if I'm not on next Monday, maybe I'll be picking up trash at the Indy 500 infield. Probably not.
Went to tech school there. Well, who's that? Mike McCrory?
Went to tech school there. Where'd they go? Did they come here? Where'd they go?
The Indy 500?
No. But I do know some of the officials that work up there. Yes. I tell you what, it is actually 11:27 here.
Good night, Larry.
You guys have a great evening. I had a nice time tonight. No one died. That's always my important part. And he's only told Kenzie, now it's been 9 times, almost 10, to get out of the way of the screen. And then he leans right into it. I mean, as soon as he did this a couple times, and then politely he hit mute and went, "Move over." And am I wrong? No.
I want to show. I mean, here, Kenzie. So you see what I'm saying? We got our big. I think we bought an 80-inch TV so we could do this. And yeah,
but you could have had a green screen and a great audio visual guy, and you wouldn't have had to bought the damn TV. But I know it was on sale at Walmart.
It actually was. This was a Doug Borth before he went to work for Full Pull. He still has got a beer money credit card. I got to keep an eye on that guy.
Yeah, what you do is just set a limit on it. I don't care if it is American Express. But seriously, guys, I had a great time. Always love being on with you. No homo, but I love doing it with you guys. That sounded kind of gay, didn't it?
I love you, Larry.
Oh, you're the man, Larry.
I'll see you boys and girls later. Have a great one.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. That was a great podcast tonight, buddy. I'm going to share we have on our BMPT Truck and Tractable YouTube page, Friday Night Winners, Saturday Night Winners. I'm going to share that video. Chandler and Kenzie and DK were rocking the video cameras all weekend, and Scott Sturble. So, Mike, sign us off. And, here, I'll play our outro. Yeah, say goodnight, Mike. I'll play our outro. Then stick around, guys. We got about a 5-minute
30 seconds or 30 minutes?
30 seconds, boss.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching Let's Grow Pulling every Monday night, the official podcast of the Beer Money Pulling Team. Have a good night.
That sounded really professional. I should have been ready. Where's the videos? Good night, Mike. Love you, buddy.
Make some noise. Good running. John Deere, Animal Deep Iowa coming up. We got one right behind you.
Some people just know that the best rate for you is a rate based on you with all